What is going on, everybody? It's your boy PTK Blam back in a building with another episode of the Shop Podcast, episode 343. How are you beautiful people doing, man? I missed you guys last week, man. I got to tell you, it is phenomenal seeing all the faces in chat already. It's phenomenal being back. Your boy was down and out, had a little bit of food poisoning. So I'm feeling good this week, but got energized, got my family here. As you guys can see, we're missing one of the amigos. Pong will be here. We got some other guests dropping in as well too. So let me go ahead and throw him in here. But it's good to see all you guys, man. We're gonna have an amazing show. We got a lot of shit to talk about. I'm pumped. I'm hyped, man. It's gonna be a very, very good show, man. So let's just kick this thing off with the family, with the panel here, man. We gotta do this thing the right way. We're gonna start with my boy Steel Rain, the other half of Living Split Screen. How you been, bro? Appreciate you being here. I know we was chopping it up pregame still, and it's always love when you in here, bro, man. What you been up to? What you been playing?
I've been chilling, man. We just got done with a 5-hour show this morning because we're just live, raw, and uncut. We got to give you the energy to get your morning started. So I guess it was just natural. We hadn't done it in a while. So that was a good time. And gaming wise, I've been jumping into some Megaton Musashi Wired W. It was a game that came out in 2021 for the Nintendo Switch, and it was only in the East. They re-released it essentially with like a essentially the complete version, up-res it, all that good stuff. And it's a really fun game. If you're into mecha, if you're into JRPGs, quite honestly, the way that storyboarding is and everything, customizable mechs and all that, it's really enjoyable of a game. But I'm getting into that. Also been still got Fallout 4 in the rotation, but I've been playing the third person Warzone Resurgence Reloaded, I believe it's called right now, or Loaded Resurgence, whatever the case. You basically drop in with your custom loadout or whatever from the jump. So that's been quite wild. So I've been getting some gaming in, man, and just getting to it in the background. But it's always a wonderful time to be here. Appreciate the invite, PTK, and man, we have some beautiful people that are going to be here with us tonight. So that's another exciting thing. So let's get to it.
And I appreciate you, man. Shout out to you being here still, man. Like I said, the other half of Split Screen, you guys live in Split Screen. You guys know what to do. Go follow Live in Split Screen. Go show some love. Subscribe, man. You get at least 4 or 5 hours every single Saturday morning to get your weekend started off the right way, man. Appreciate you still for being here, brother. You always giving me that good energy, man. Appreciate that. You got Mav, Mr. Fun Speculation. You guys know Mav. Always here, man. Appreciate you, brother. Shooting up the bat signal, and you always come through, man. But glad to see you here. Obviously, you got some things going on at the house, but just glad to have you on the show, man. What you been up to, bro?
Oh, we are just gravy, man. Lots of fun games to play right now. We, as a family, we played Botany Manor over this past week, which is a puzzle game that's in Game Pass. I don't really usually play those, but my daughter was into it, and we kind of played through that and solved those together. I highly recommend it if you like puzzle games. Other than that, I've been checking out Manor Lords and just playing random stuff, man.
How good is that Manor Lords? I see it. I see a lot of people talking about it.
My learning curve is slow with games sometimes. But I will say, as far as what you would want out of a city builder / RTS game, it's kind of like a dream game. It was made by like one guy over a long period of time. It's in PC Game Pass. It's later going to be coming to consoles. But the graphics and the detail, but also the level of like kind of a lot of it's very simple to do. Like a lot of the stuff that some games make complicated, this game simplifies as well in really good ways. It's just, I think it's a special game that's going to last for a really, really long time and grow into something amazing because it's an early access. So I highly recommend, if you're a fan of city builders or RTSs, you can have a blast playing this game. I've only scratched the surface, right? Like I said, sometimes I'm slow with figuring out some mechanics and stuff, and it's not the game's fault because they simplify a lot of things that some games make overly complicated, but it's just time and me like trying to rush through things or not paying attention to certain things, right?
Yeah.
But overall, like, yeah, it seems like it's going to be a super special game, and so check out Manor Lords if you're into those kind of games. The other one I'd like to shout out real quick is Ayuden Chronicles 100 Heroes. I'm only a little ways into that one.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems pretty damn good, man. I'm really liking where it's going. It doesn't take too long to get going into the story and playing the game and kind of getting used to the mechanics and stuff. So if you like kind of traditional classic JRPGs, try out Ayuden Chronicles. It's pretty damn good. It's another one in Game Pass also.
Yeah. I saw that one. That was the one that had a bit, some mixed reviews when it came out. I saw that. Not that I give a damn about any of that because
it's not like a earth-shattering, gonna blow your socks off type game, but it is feel kind of old school in the heart and soul of it, in the best ways possible.
Yeah, I love the art style too. It's really cool from just the trailer and everything. So I'm not necessarily into JRPGs, but that looks like one that's approachable for somebody like me.
It's very approachable.
Awesome.
It doesn't like spend too much time overcomplicating or like hours worth of storyline before you do anything. It's really quick to get going and starting to play. So that's my favorite thing about that game.
Awesome. I can get into that, brother, for sure. So some of those JRPGs and the traditional, I can't. It's just like you said, the pacing is just my patience ain't there. But shout out to you for being here, bro. Always love to have you on the show, bro. Always family. You always welcome here. So you guys know what to do. Go follow Mav. Most of you guys already are, but if you're not, do yourself a favor and do that. It's FSP General right there. So go follow Mav for sure, man. And we got Game Pass Dad dropping in, man. I didn't think he was gonna be here a little bit later, but glad to see you early, brother. How you been, man?
Doing good. Missed the message earlier this week. But
it's all good. It's all good.
Glad to be here, hanging out with you guys, talking gaming, and always a pleasure to be able to stop in. And I appreciate the invite.
Not a problem, bro. And you guys know what to do. Go follow Game Pass Dad. Get your comedy fix in. You get a little bit of that too. A little bit of everything. So appreciate you, brother, for being here.
Going hard right now.
Oh yeah. So shout out to you, man. Appreciate you being here, man. Like I said, I know you didn't see it earlier, but you're here now. So that's all that matters to me, brother. So appreciate you taking some time. And let me get over to my brother, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere, bro. How you been, man? I missed you, bro.
Oh man, I've been great. Glad to be here with you guys, man. Just Twitter's just a funny place. Although the whole Drake and Kendrick Lamar thing is interesting as well. But on the gaming side of things, man, that excitement's starting to ramp up. We got the showcase right around the corner, and even closer is Hellblade 2. And you don't need that 6 months worth of advertising and all that stuff. But people are gonna complain about stuff to complain about, but pretty sure we'll get into some juicy stuff for that showcase, as well as Starfield, man. I fell into that so much to the point where I didn't think I was going to play Forza this year. But
I remember that too. You was all over Starfield, man. You hadn't even picked up Forza for a little bit.
Hey, I got a question real quick for those that have been paying attention to the Drake Kendrick things going on right now. What was J. Cole was involved with this and he like backed out or something? He
did.
Okay. Why doesn't Diddy come to try and replace him? That would be great.
Oh my goodness. I think this would be pretty low on his laundry list of problems right now.
Considering Diddy can't rap.
That too.
Well, but I'm just curious. I wonder what the songs would be about him.
That'd be really interesting. That's low hanging fruit. That is low hanging fruit.
Come on, couldn't they team up and pick on Diddy right now instead of each other? Let's go.
He busy. He doing other things right now. So
he gotta avoid the feds. And
come on, man.
Man.
So they're showing pity on Diddy.
Pretty much.
He got too many other issues. Lord have mercy. Diddy made his way into the Shop podcast. Lord have mercy. But shout out to you, man. Well, we gonna get into this first topic, man. Shout out to all of you guys here in chat. You guys are fucking amazing, man. Every time I miss a week, I hate it, but you guys always come back even stronger the following week. So, man, let's get into it. Like Mav said, like everybody said, we got a lot to talk about. First thing I want to dive into, and it's the biggest topic for me personally, I want to talk about this summer showcase. So Xbox just recently announced that they are having their June summer showcase, I believe June 9th, which is a Sunday. So shout out to Xbox for dropping that on us, man. We greatly appreciate that. So I'm really excited. This kind of marks for me personally, before I throw it over to you guys, this kind of marks the start of like the summer for me, like the summer gaming season, whether it's PlayStation, Nintendo, or Xbox. Whoever makes that announcement, I feel like that's where, that's kind of the point where we all should kind of start locking in, you know what I mean, and start looking at these summer showcases and things. But obviously Xbox is first, jumping off the porch first, June 9th. I kind of want to get people's way too early response. Obviously we got the back end of the showcase too, is obviously they did a great job hiding that was going to be Call of Duty. Great job, Xbox. Phenomenal job. Stevie Wonder, God rest his soul, could have saw that was going to be Call of Duty. So I don't know what the idea with the whole redacted thing was. That is probably the worst kept secret ever. So, but I appreciate it. We're finally going to get to see that obviously Activision is going to be a big part of the show for the very first time. So that's going to be a thing. And obviously they did Call of Duty stuff, Black Ops stuff this year at the end as well. So I'm going to start with you, Mav. I'm going to start with you on this, brother. We don't have really anything to work off right now, right? We just know the showcase is coming. That's enough for me. You the co-mayor of Speculation Town, bro. Where are you at just with the announcement, and what do you think we're gonna see? Just where's your energy at with the showcase right now?
It's dangerous you starting this topic with me, PTK. I mean, if we want to have any other conversation on this show, man, there's so much to look forward to, dude. I was listening to a show earlier a little bit. They're talking about they can't get excited for the show, because Xbox, they put other games on other places. So why is there any reason to be excited right now and all this kind of stuff? I'm like, guys, it's like, people don't understand or can't comprehend what's in front of them right now. And it's like, if the games are what matter, and that's what everybody's always said for so long, it's not about the boxes, right? It's about the games. If the games are what matter, then we're going to really have an insane couple months ahead of us. The next 6 months or so, seven really, because you have Hellblade 2 dropping this month, right? Which I have a feeling there's already going to be some positive momentum coming from there. Then you're going to roll into this showcase, and the showcase is going to have a shit ton of games, possibly more than we've ever seen at an Xbox showcase before. Plus, also possibly the longest runtime we've had at an Xbox showcase in a very long time. And then you're going to have all these games announced for Game Pass. You're going to have new games announcements, updates on some of the existing games we already know about. There's rumors about Gears showing up there again, which is just alone that's going to set the internet on fire. And then after that, you have the whole Call of Duty show. So for me, I'm just looking at this going like, holy crap. And then we already know that the second half of this year is loaded for Xbox going into September, October, November, and December. They got games dropping every month. We remembered yesterday that there was another one that we've been completely forgetting about, which is Age of Mythology Retold. But besides that one, there's also Avowed, Aura, Indiana Jones, as well, and Flight Simulator as well. All still slated for this year, plus Call of Duty. If we get new game announcements like Gears on top of that, coming for either 2025 or 2026, and we get like looks at something like Perfect Dark that could be slated for 2025 and other games, that's kind of my expectation is going to be. Plus also maybe we get finally dates for stuff like Silk Song or Replace and some of those kind of games that are Game Pass indie games, right?
Yep.
I think this is probably going to be the show that finally puts out there, hey, yeah, this is our vision for Xbox. Now we have no reason to hold back anymore. Yeah, some things are different right now because we have changed some of the things after acquiring ABK. It's accelerated some of our other plans, right? We have stronger partnerships with Ubisoft, with Sega, with Square Enix, all these other things. I think those are going to show up as well at the show. But then all the first party games, the other games like IO Interactive's game that we still could have a chance to see there. Dude, there's so much potential for this show. And I think this is the time that they put it out there for everybody to see. So there can be no more denial about the scope and size of the plans that they have at Xbox going forward with the brand and the platform and the ecosystem. So they're going to lay it all out there. And I'm super pumped. It's really hard to guess what's all going to be there.
Yeah.
Right. Like, if I was to put my money on one, I would say Perfect Dark. I would say maybe ZeniMax Online's game, and then Gears of War. Those are three that I think we might see there that are either rumored or kind of speculated about right now. And then all the obvious stuff that we already know about that's coming.
Yeah, for sure. I'd love to be honest with you. I know we've talked about this almost every year since probably 2021, Mav. We talked about like them buttoning up some of the other games we've known about for like 3 or 4 years now. I think that's a priority for me personally. I'd like to see them button up, like a State of Decay 3. We get a date or something on that. Like some of the couple of other games you mentioned as well too that have been floating around for like 2 or 3 years. Obviously, getting a solid update, or release date, one of the two. I'm fine with that too. So I would love to see them clear some of that up too to kind of clear out the pipeline a little bit, kind of give us a clearer picture, and then we can start getting into some of the other things that are a little further out. Like the Gears and some of the other stuff you're mentioning.
Yeah, for sure. I think Gears would probably be 2026. I think Perfect Dark would be 2025. ZeniMax Online's game, I don't know what year that would be. But out of those three, I think it's time to see those. I remember when they acquired ZeniMax Bethesda, they went through all the studios and like ZeniMax Online, like they're working on the biggest thing they've ever worked on before.
Yeah.
And it's a new thing, right?
Yeah.
So there's that. And I'm really excited about the possibilities of what that could be.
Awesome.
Gears 6, I think we'd see more than just that, though. I think it's going to be Gears 6 plus also the Marcus Phoenix collection.
Mm-hmm.
And if they land, we talked about this last night on Ultimate. If they land the moment that they could, right? It was like we know that is right there. Like they just need to grab it, right? Do the Mad World trailer remade, right? I think you do Gears 6 announcement with kind of like a teaser saying 2026. But hey, but if you want Gears, don't worry, you won't have to wait that long because early in 2025 we got something special for you. And then they start playing the song, and then the trailer shows up, and then you hear the crowd erupt, and you have like Marcus Phoenix Collection, the original trilogy, launching early 2025 into Game Pass, and it Unreal Engine 5, and it just looks mind blowing, right? Yeah. And then you think the show's over, right? Think the show's over, and then you hear Splinter Cell goggles.
You're never giving up on that.
No, never.
You're never giving up on that
because the Ubisoft partnership is strong, right? They have the marketing with Star Wars Outlaws, right? And there's a lot of speculation and rumors that finally this year that Splinter Cell remake is going to show up at the Ubisoft Forward show. There's been even more insider people saying we should expect to see that game this year. And if it shows up at Ubisoft Forward, somebody's going to have the marketing with that. Is it going to be PlayStation or is it going to be Xbox? And we know the history with Xbox and Splinter Cell. I have confidence that Phil will not screw this up. That they got to get the marketing rights with Splinter Cell and not ruin that moment to have that thing that people have been asking for so long. Right?
No pressure though.
Hey, all the pressure. all
pressure makes diamonds, baby.
Yes, they have so much.
Yeah.
In their warehouse and their disposal, if games are working on it and things, there is literally no excuse for them not to blow our socks off.
Okay, I like it. I appreciate that stance. Now, so there's a lot going on. And I was telling Steele before the show that I don't really have many expectations. This is one of the first years where I'm going in like, man, I don't really know. Usually I have some type of baseline, and I might be lying saying that now. Because like as it gets closer, those expectations might build a little bit, right? You never know what information we get between now and the 9th. We usually never go into these showcases with nothing. There's always something comes out, some email or somebody drops something and it's partially true, or we kind of get a hint towards something else. So maybe as the show gets closer, my expectations will change. I don't have very many, but I do expect them to, really do what they did last year. Be extremely consistent. Like I said, I don't necessarily care about the dates and things, but having a few dates in there for some of the games is always important. Like you said, just kind of laying it all on the line. You got a ton of stuff. You got a lot of IPs, a lot of talent, a lot of stuff in the oven. So the way they show these things matter too, Mav, right? Like how they come across. And that's why I know you were talking about the Gears of War thing is kind of setting the table, right? Like we're going to love Gears if they show it anyway, but you kind of set the table that way. And it does have a little bit of an added effect, right? The Mad World trailer and, Marcus Phoenix collection and those things do carry weight. How you show them. So I think that matters too. So I do appreciate
emotions have an impact.
Yeah. Nostalgia, show, right? You trigger.
The emotions is what spreads the conversation on social media and everybody talking about, oh my God, did you see that? right?
Yeah.
And they have the ability and the games that are being made to be able to have those moments, right? It's up to them to make sure they deliver it in the way that's best seen for people to have those feelings when they're watching these things, and that's what's going to make the biggest impact.
Yeah. So, and we'll see. They've been way better at that in the recent shows than they have in the past. So I do trust them. Tina Meany's done a phenomenal job. Shout out to her and her team putting these events together. You know, getting the right talent, making some necessary changes, all those types of things. But I don't want to ramble on too much. Let me go ahead and pass this baton over to Michael. What's up, Pong? How you doing, brother?
You didn't even need me. I could have taken the night off.
Oh, I knew you was gonna start that shit. What did I say, Steel? Steel, what did I say? I knew y'all called it. He's gonna come in here mutiny already. What's up, brother?
No. You got the full crew up in here. You're good, man. You're good. Listen. No, it's great to be here. Sorry, I'm late, everybody.
Oh, you're good, bro.
I do appreciate it. Just got a lot of stuff going on. So, but yeah, no, great to be here. And I see we're already in full swing.
Oh, yeah. You just take the baton and run with it, baby. You already know.
We are getting the speculation going about the showcase season. I love this time of the season. It is Christmas. And as Mav just explained, Mav and I talked about it Thursday. We talked about it Friday. Steele and I talked about it this morning. This could be the biggest Christmas of all time. Santa's coming big this year, especially during Xbox's showcase. I believe it as well. Mav laid it out beautifully. I just want to add a couple things here. Again, going back to that, they're going to show more games than they probably ever have. My guess was last year they showed 27. The year prior was 33. I think we get an easy. I said 35 to 40 last night. I'm now locking in on 40. I think we get 40 this year. 40 games, depending on sizzle reels, depending on if there is hardware announcement at the showcase of a handheld. But I do think this is going to be the longest showcase we've seen. But I really do think the gloves are off. I think they've been unbound because of the change in philosophy, because of how they're moving. They are no longer playing by anybody's rules anymore. And whether you like it or not, right? Again, I wouldn't be doing what they are doing personally if I was running the ship. But since they are going in this direction, they can pretty much call their shots as they see them now. And I think that this showcase is going to be the stamping of Xbox as one of, if not the biggest publisher in the entire world. And I think they're going to make that undeniable when we come out of the show. Could be completely wrong. They could go a more traditional route during the show, and I could be talking about that afterwards. But I have a feeling that this is going to be the one. With the Call of Duty Direct obviously being the real... I personally have two minds of it because obviously business wise, I get why they're doing. It's a huge moment, especially if they can announce that it's coming to Game Pass day and date. It's going to be a massive moment for Xbox, something that they spent $70 billion on. A part of that piece is going to be showcased right now. And I think that that's a big deal. The other side, it's Call of Duty. Call of Duty gets its own show. Call of Duty, again, it's massive. Like everybody knows, they're already going to have probably their regular Call of Duty kind of show off as well. Like I'd like to see the Direct kind of held for one of the other first party studios and deep dive one of the games, whether, South of Midnight or, Clockwork Revolution or whatever. But
I see that argument. I understand that.
But from a business standpoint, totally get why they're doing it.
Yeah.
It is going to be massive. The showcase itself, I believe that they're going to the Eastern flavored section that they always have and have been doing now for the past 2-3 years, where they have some of those Eastern developers show up on stage. I think that grows yet again. It's been growing every year. If you guys go back and watch them, they've been doing more and more in the East because, again, they're going worldwide. They need to cover a lot of ground with their plans. So I think the East shows up big this year. I think that Sega is on the stage yet again. I think that Square Enix is there, like Mav said.
You think Sega's going to talk about that massive game, that big game that they're making? Or
it's more initiative, the super game initiative.
That's right. That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But they're going to show off, I think, some of the games that are coming. I mean, some of those games might be ready this year, right? The Crazy Taxi or Golden Axe or whatever. I think they're going to show up with that. I think Square is going to be there, and I think Square, yes, they gave us Visions of Mana back at the Developer Direct, which was a surprise. But I think Square continues to solidify this new relationship with the new CEO and Phil, and I think they show up with something else here. Mav suggested Final Fantasy Tactics last night, which would be awesome for those of us that love tactics. But I think they definitely could show up with a surprise here on the Xbox stage. I think that Black Myth Wukong shows up here. I think that partnership after what happened with Stellar Blade, I think that they need to make sure, right, that this stuff is on lock. And I do think that they need to make sure that those partnerships are showing off when they've got them. And I think Black Myth is a big one. And
I like that. Swing for the fences, Paul.
Yeah.
I like that.
I mean, it'd be perfect because it's launching later this year, and it'll be a great spot for them too. And then I think I've been throwing this one out. I went through some of the East as well because you got to get Korea in there somewhere. You got to get that flavor. You got Japan. You got China with Black Myth Wukong. You got to get some Korean, blood in there as well. And I think that their relationship with Pearl Abyss, Steele and I talked about this morning. I think Crimson Desert shows up on this stage to show off. We haven't seen Crimson Desert in about 2 years or so.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
It has. They had another snippet of gameplay. I think they released late last year or something like that everybody caught wind of online. But to showcase it, I think it's getting close. And I think that, again, the partnership is strong with Pearl Abyss. And I think that this would be a perfect spot for that. The Gears is great. As we talked about, listen, if they are going to do what I think they're going to do, which is a normal showcase for the most part with, this year's stuff coming out, some of next year's stuff. But I think, and where I think this differs, I think they go a little bit further. I think they give us some hopes and dreams, right? And so I think that a glimpse at the future is a possibility. But I also think that leaning in to what they've got going on nostalgia-wise with the Gears is fantastic. And again, if they pull off Gears 6 and the Phoenix Collection is real, you're already, as Mav said, going to have the talking on the internet instantaneously. And I think they end the show with that, personally. But I think that you also have an opportunity here to tease a StarCraft reboot from Blizzard to make yourself known. Again, you talk about the East. We know how big Starfield is still in the East. StarCraft, I should say. StarCraft reboot coming back as a tease to get that team going would be massive. And then the other one that I've been pushing to that a lot of people are forgetting, again, what they've got going on underneath the Xbox umbrella is ridiculous. The stuff we know is already like mind-blowing. There is still a whole nother side of stuff we don't know or has just been rumored.
Facts.
This is going, they've got so much content, but I think the last piece to this showcase for Xbox first party on top of everything else that Mav obviously laid out, id showing up with either a new Doom or a Quake reboot and showing it off for the first time. I'm telling you, man, you get a trifecta of nostalgia going like that, and you automatically win this whole thing. Again, Gears by itself could win everything if they do it right. Like it could boggle people's mind with the Gears 6, how it looks, and then just having the Phoenix Collection show up with the Mad World remake trailer, or as Steele said, maybe combine all three since it's the whole trilogy and give us snippets from Mad World and all the other trailers and all the games. That's already going to be just a really kind of exclamation point on everything. But I think in between, they've got chances here with stuff that we do know could be in the works, that we know it is working on something and has been working on something for years. We know there's a real possibility that StarCraft is coming back. That has been teased multiple times, and this would be the show to do it, man. This would be the show to do it. Not only the next couple years, but then the look of promise for 2026 and beyond. And if everything is leaning the way we think it is, and it seems that way, that they're going to launch early, they're going to go holiday 2026 with the new hardware. Again, people, it won't take long. If they start teasing some of this stuff and you go, oh, Gear 6, that's probably 2026. All of a sudden it's going to start clicking in people's head when we start hearing more about that next gen. Oh, that's going to be a launch title. Okay. And then all of a sudden, you start keeping that hype going through all the next couple years while you got all these games launching, but people start figuring out what your launch lineup's going to look like. And again, we talked about it previously. They could have one of the best launch lineups since the Dreamcast if they lay it down right. And I think that's what they're shooting for with a lot of this stuff. But this showcase has me extremely hyped. I always get hyped. You guys know that. I never temper expectations around here.
Yeah, I don't either. Fuck that. I don't got time for that. Yeah.
I'm responsible for myself. I am ready to rock and roll. I got goosebumps thinking about what they could pull off. And this being Tina Amini's first show where she's got control gets me even more excited because of what she's done. I can't wait to see what her and her team have put together. And she even said on X that she is helping with the Call of Duty one as well, the direct.
Awesome.
So I can't wait to see. But yeah, let's go. June 9th. Can't get here soon enough. Splinter Cell. Ubisoft is going to show up. Splinter Cell and possibly Assassin's Creed Red as well. It's going to be a big show.
Oh yeah, it's going to be beautiful. We got a lot of. It's funny because as you were going through those games, I've even forgot about a couple of the games that are a lot closer than I even realized.
Yeah.
So like once again, I know it's kind of a slow burn right now, but as the days go by, I'm gonna be on your level, Pong. I promise. I'll be on your level by two weeks or so. I'll be right there with you, brother. So yeah, I always get hyped for these things, especially the Xbox Showcase for sure. So we got a lot cooking up.
I hope you're
man.
joining this year, PTK. I hope you're joining us this year on June 9th. It'll be a blast,
I don't know, man. We'll see. I don't know, man.
Because we might have to cry together as Phoenix Collection is announced. Because Steel and I are going to be balling like little babies.
Oh, man. Look, I'll bring the Kleenex, brother. I got you guys, man. Back up. No problem. Whoa, hold on. Wait.
You didn't say lotion. And
I didn't
Kleenex.
say, come on.
No, okay.
Golly.
You gotta clarify.
I expect that from Game Pass Dad, still not you.
Well.
My boy
ain't
Game
seen
Pass.
nothing yet.
I know. I'm just playing. So speaking of Game Pass, bro. So once again, we've all a couple of us are going over this Xbox Showcase, brother, and this year feels a little different for me, man. Like obviously, last year's show was phenomenal. I thought it was the best show that they probably ever done. Not because I was there in person, but because literally for me, it was probably the best show that I've ever seen them put together from beginning to end, including the Starfield direct at the end. So I'm not comparing this year to last year, although we're going to, right? We always do. What kind of personal expectations do you have? Anything, like that you want to see? I know they've talked about a couple different things that, the gears, things like that. But where are you at right now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like you, where I'm not sure exactly what to expect. Like, there's a lot of different directions that we can go in because we have an idea of a lot of different stuff that they've been working on. We have an idea of games that should be lined, like obviously the games that are coming out later this year, we should see more of those, and we have some ideas of what's coming out 2025, 2026-ish. But I mean, there's so many different directions they can go. There's so many different studios and all kinds of surprises they could be cooking up. Like I don't want to have too many expectations just because I feel like as long as they keep doing what they're doing, like there's gonna be something that is gonna blow us away or at least make us all happy. I'm not sitting here like, I don't know, what was it like around like leading up to 2020, like where we're sitting there like, what are we gonna see? Things are still kind of rocky.
Yeah.
Like I feel like there's a lot more faith now, and we're at a point where Xbox has been just going so hard, like bringing all these studios together. So many things working in the background, like the ways that the business have changed after like the Activision Blizzard deal went through.
We got to give them credit for that, Game Pass. I don't see a lot of people doing that. I'm glad you brought that up because, if we just by and large, if we look at, the body of work the last 2-3 years, it's been way better, way more consistent than the previous years. And I don't even think it's close. So we do got to give them credit because, a lot of that was, they were kind of towing the line when that whole, case was going on. They had to kind of tiptoe around. But since then, things have been like all gas. So,
well, we had a whole decade, like the last decade was a whole decade where it's like, if you didn't really care about Forza, Halo, or Gears of War, like you could sit there and just not really worry about what Xbox was doing. But it's like at this point in time where Microsoft is positioned Xbox, like we're not at a point in time where they have a showcase and like the industry can just ignore what's going on because they're releasing a good chunk of like the biggest games that are going to be coming out for the foreseeable future. And as long as like at the same time, a lot of companies make acquisitions like that. and they either just start trying to make as much money as possible out of them as quickly as possible. And I don't really feel like Microsoft's necessarily going to make that mistake. I mean, time will tell. But it really seems like they're positioning it into a place where they're going to lead themselves to making a profit, not by like the lowest common denominator, but by making good games and providing good products at a good value, and like at least trying to be like a bright light in, like, to me at least. I mean, I don't want to sit here and defend everything Microsoft does. Like, they obviously, like, there's certain things that we can point out with like how they're going to manage these studios and whether they're going to keep doing like contract workers or things like that. Like, those are obvious problems, but it's like, from where I'm sitting, like, they've been delivering a good cadence. Like, I brought it up on Fun Speculation last night. Like, they're at a point where we have a good cadence of like, we get an early in the year taste of what's to come. We get something in between the showcase and like the beginning of the year point. We have the big summer showcase. We have something towards the end of the year, and then holiday season is like busy with gaming. Like, we've got like 3 years now where or at least like the last 2 years, we've had a good cadence. Like, we're coming into the third year now where we know what to expect as far as communication from Microsoft, which from like Nintendo, PlayStation, it's not that consistent. I would say Nintendo's probably more consistent than PlayStation, at least when it comes to like showing things off, or at least having a roadmap for what's to come. But I mean, I think if I like, the one thing I'd really like to see, which I feel like it might be a little bit early still, but probably some kind of idea of what they're cooking up with, which they might save it till later in the fall. But what they're cooking up with possible handhelds or things like that.
Bro,
like,
you
that
stole my question. I literally was going to wait for all of you guys to finish, and that was going to be my question to all of you. Literally, dead ass.
I mean, I got it on the mind. I've been sitting here trying to figure out, like, I got my tax money back, and I'm sitting here trying to figure out if I'm ready to get like a handheld PC, or if I want to see what Microsoft cooks up with the Xbox and see if that fits my needs. But I don't know. I like the direction the business is going in. There's a lot of IPs that they have that they could possibly be working on. And I honestly, I kind of like the idea, like where you're coming from, like, try not to have too many expectations. Cause honestly, like, gigantic expectations have left us down in the past. And it's like, last couple of years have been pretty fire. And like, we need to give ourselves a bit of a chance to be blown away.
Well, just to be clear, I'm like Pong on that Game Pass. I don't give a damn. Like, my expectations are like the size of a balloon, and like balloon size of a house. And if it's not up to that, it doesn't bother me that my personal expectations don't meet what happens in reality. I don't have an issue with that. So I don't care about
this too. Like, so you kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, PTK, like your expectations, like you didn't really know what to expect. So you're just kind of like, you're just whatever. Bob's kind of like the same. It's like, I don't know what to expect, whatever. But then I was listening to those other show I was telling you about earlier, and like, they're like, I'm not really excited. I don't like.
Oh, I don't want to confuse the two, because those are two different things.
Yes,
I
agree 100%. But I think comparatively to the past, where we're like, we all have these like big expectations, I almost kind of think it's like a good thing that like the community is kind of like asleep on what's going on, because if they come out and hit the home run at the showcase and everybody's kind of like, I don't know what to expect, or like, I'm not that excited, they have an opportunity to make a bigger impact than if we all had these crazy expectations out of the gate. Like me, I'm like expecting everything under the sun, so like I won't be disappointed either way, right? But like, if the community in all just goes into this kind of like half asleep, you know what I mean? And then they just show all this stuff that we're talking about. Yeah. I think it makes a bigger impact than otherwise, because everybody will not have those excitement going in. Then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, what just happened? You know? Anyway.
I mean, it's a slippery slope with Xbox, because you could argue that like people will say that and still have the same energy after. So like it's weird. People are weird with Xbox, man. But I don't even know how people are gonna react. It almost doesn't matter what they show sometimes. Like, some people are just dead set on having like looking at things a certain way, and I can't do anything about those people. So like, I'm with you. You know what I mean? Like, this year's a little different for me. And once again, I want to make sure I'm clear on it. It doesn't mean I'm not extremely excited, because I'm gonna be like a kid in a candy store. I probably won't sleep the night before. Like, every year, it's every year. Like, the day before, I have trouble sleeping. I stay up all night just ready for the show to start. So it's probably gonna happen again. So I don't want people confused that I'm not excited, but I do get your your assessment of maybe that's a good thing for the Xbox brand, but I don't know, man. Like they've been cooking the last couple of years, and people are still have the same energy. You know what I mean? So it's really hard to say. Really hard to say.
The difference is the Xbox community is kind of a large part of the Xbox community is kind of asleep on them now.
Yeah.
Like
I would agree. I would agree to that to a point for sure. I don't want to cut you off, Game Pass. I don't know if you were finished with your point, brother. Go ahead.
I mean, I was pretty much towards the end of it, but yeah, I feel like I'm on the other end where it's like I feel like I do have big expectations because there's like so many possibilities, but like I don't necessarily know what that's shaped like. So it's like I feel like it's already going to be pretty lit, but I'm ready to. I have enough room to be wowed still, and at the same time, if it's just solid information, like a good, like if it moves us forward with a good roadmap for the next like year and a half, 2 years, and I'll be happy. But it's like if there's some surprises in there or like a bunch of crazy stuff, then it's like I have a lot of room to be like wowed even more. But it, like, to speak to the other point, like it does feel like in general, like Xbox has to do, they either have to like double or triple expectations because like anything they do wrong is like held against them 3 times as much as anyone else.
Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
Anything they do right, it has to be like so crazy that it just completely moves like 3 steps forward. But that's also at the same time what's going to get the attention of people who are doubting Xbox or don't feel like they can deliver. And also like the really important portion, because like I always pointed out, like, not everyone's as into this stuff as we are. Like
facts.
The main consumer like is gonna really be wowed by that. If they're like, Xbox is doing what? Like that's the type of reaction they really need to go for whenever they can. But it's not like you can always do that year over year.
Yeah.
But at this point, I think we're in for some crazy surprises, probably with like the acquisition of ABK and everything else that's been cooking. It feels like it's coming up on time that we get something awesome.
Yeah. It will be. I don't even doubt that the show will be amazing. I think the show is going to be fantastic. I'm with Pong and Mav, and I have that same energy as well. But like you said, just I don't have any personal expectations. I'm not looking at things like trying to analyze them as much as I normally do this year. And I think that may just be me. I know you mentioned the 2 Game Pass that you're not really kind of digging through everything this year. Not I'm not really doing that this year. But I'm extremely excited about what they have to show because of those obvious reasons that everybody have talked already just stated. I think they got a lot to show. They got a lot cooking up. I trust Phil and Co. They haven't really done anything personally to me for me not to think that they're going to up the ante once again. Like I said, every show the last 2-3 years has just gotten better and better. You know what I mean? In 2020, 2021, 22. So they've gotten a lot better, a lot more consistent for me personally. So let me throw this over to you, Steele, to make sure you and Fuzz get your bars off. But Steele, I mean, I know you talked about this morning, but brother, like, just where you at, after hearing everybody kind of state their case here, just on the excitement of the show, are you, locked in, just kind of where you at, kind of early now?
Oh, I'm always locked in, PTK. I mean, E3 High Time is always going to be that for me, regardless if it's going to be E3 or not. It's showcase season, man. This is the time where we get a glimpse into the future, what we can potentially get, what we may get, and with the way that gaming is going currently, to Pong's point, it was going to be a lot of what I was going to bring up. Those Eastern plays, the style of games that that really get my attention. There's just so many plays to be made that's really going to fulfill the thirst of the people that were looking for those third-person action adventure games, especially, which is also going to be a unique thing because now it's just going to add even more variety along with what they're trying to layer, right? If we get a Quake out this year, that would be really a badass thing to see, just to try to revitalize that fast gameplay and whatnot. But yeah, for me overall, outside of just going over a lot of the points that were made already, I'm always hyped for showcase season. I can put games on my list, on my wish list. I take them always in the bubble that they are. Everything doesn't need to be judged to the prior year, but if you look at it, to your point, PTK, they've only been improving. And if they have all these studios now, all these different teams that are working on all these different games, and people have been asking for this, when this whole run started in 2017, then that, the timeline is coming up. If it's not this year, then it has to be next year. And if it's not next year, then 2026 is the one. And even if you just leave off with a handheld announcement for this fall, for the winter, for Christmas, there's a lot of possibilities that they're trying to move into that I think are really going to be smart plays for them, and the potential of it is what really excites me, right? So that's what I'm really looking for, that Eastern flavor, more games to fulfill the thirst of some of these some gamers that are looking for particular things, and that's pretty much it, man.
Oh, facts. I love it. See, nice and see. I'm very, very similar to you, man. Like as far as how I feel about this showcase coming forward, they got a lot cooking up, bro, and that's what excites me. I think, and I think people get lost in the sauce, right? We all sit on the Bird app and go through all of these tweets and go through all of these emotions and all this shit and go back and forth about how we feel. And we get lost in the sauce sometimes. When you really take a step back and look at just the year, not just Xbox, the year we're having right now in gaming. We're having a phenomenal year. Some people would argue it's already better than last year. And last year, I made a whole video saying that was probably the greatest year in video game history, in my opinion. And I feel like this year started off just as good, if not better. So I don't really have anything but great things and great expectations going forward. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's kind of set the tone for me this year, you know, with the way the year has been going. But Fuzz, let me make sure you get your bars off here, Fuzz.
Yeah.
And I'll save the handheld question once you're done for all of us, because I really want to get you guys all opinion on, you know, maybe if they'll shoehorn that in or figure out some cool way to get that in the show. We're just waiting, if it's even the thing. But where you at on just the showcase, Fuzz? I know you get excited about it too, bro. We don't usually have all of these weird fucking trepidations and expectations going into it. We just all like to have fun and get excited. So I know you're very similar, but where you at?
I think for me, like it's not as much about expectations. There are like a small number of things I would like to see, and like maybe one or two that I kind of expect. Like Perfect Dark is one of those I kind of expect. There's been enough time passed from the last time we've seen it. Been hearing some rumblings in the background that's, you know, play testing and polishing, and it's not too far off kind of deal. So I think we get to see that, and looking forward to how that plays out. Because I know there was some debate on like the first person versus third person, but you know, all of that kind of went away after the same thing with Indiana Jones. So the way they did it with first person was a nice, tasteful way, and actually looks like it would feel better as far as the hand to hand, or even using the lasso to choke people out, or just knock them down kind of thing, or knock weapons out of their hands and stuff. But looking forward to Perfect Dark. Love Mav's idea as far as like a possibility of having something like Splinter Cell make an appearance, and even to the greater thing as far as like with the Gears, Mad World trailer on like a Gears collection deal. If they have that, and I know we hear, you know, some rumblings in the background once again that's been like an on again, off again, you know, in existence, maybe not kind of thing. And considering Coalition is able to turn out stuff pretty quick, they had to have been working on something, I think, a little bit more than probably just Gear 6 itself. So it'd be nice to see. And maybe even like, I think there was also some like job position stuff or something like that for contractors, helping them with another unannounced project. So, you know, I think we see the Gears thing there. I'm not expecting Forza Horizon 6, but it would be nice to see. I'm still of the mind that 2026 is going to be the year of the sixes. You know, GTA 6, Gear 6, Forza Horizon 6, and maybe even Elder Scrolls 6 makes it by the 11/11 date type of thing. But I'm not really expecting it as much as I would like to see it, but it'd be cool if it does make an appearance, especially if they, you know, would go with the fan request of having something in Japan. I think that would be, they could, I wouldn't say they could end Forza Horizon there. They could just use that as the platform from that point forward and build from there kind of thing. Not that anything's wrong with 5 at this point. Great platform, great updates and things that the community keeps on making, and that they keep on adding like new cars and stuff too. But yeah, if they have that in Japan, that would be awesome. But I think the one thing I really want to see, and it's not a have to have, but it would be awesome to see, is an update for Forza Motorsport where it's a bigger drop of tracks. Like, I still want Long Beach, I still want Sebring, I still want Bathurst. So if they find a way to do like a nice content update, like whether you want to call it like Forza Motorsport 2.0 or whatever the case may be, you know, a couple of tracks, maybe a couple of more cars, maybe the drag racing mode, or even drifting. I'm leaning more towards the drag racing, especially considering they just had some more drag racing related stuff in, you know, Forza Horizon and stuff recently. So that would be the big thing for me. Like that would make the show a 10 out of 10 right off the bat for me. But outside of that, there's so much stuff that Xbox has been cooking up for these past few years that we kind of know what's on the back end of this year, where we got Avowed. So we'll probably get a release date at the show. Probably get a release date for Indiana Jones. Probably get a release date for for Aura and stuff like that. But I want to see if South of Midnight is 2024 or 2025, or if it's a little bit further out. Maybe we get to see a little bit more of that. Maybe we get an update on State of Decay 3. I'm not expecting that one, because I know that there was some stuff in the background with the previous ownership before the acquisition that kind of shuffled things a bit. But I know they've been working with Coalition. I know they've been working hard on UE5 stuff, and that's probably a good foundation for them to build on. And if it makes it this gen, great. If it winds up being a launch title, because we all know about, like Pong said, we got that 2026 possible early drop for the next gen. It'd be a great launch lineup title that could be cross-gen, still playable on your series console, but like have all the bells and whistles turned up for that next gen and melt people's faces kind of thing. So definitely want to see if they even give us like hints of that. Like I know we're going to talk about the handheld and stuff, but I'm as excited for the potential of what the hardware could be, even if it's just a digital Series X and like a Series 3 Elite controller kind of thing. I'm waiting for one of those so I can replace the one I have now before all the rubber grip stuff starts peeling. Because even after about a year and a half, no drops, no excessive heat or anything like that, I got like a little bubble forming in a corner on one of them. But it's going to be a big showcase, and I think. Well, Xbox already knows. Like they still have the FTC kind of on their back about stuff, but the ABK deal is essentially done. Like to try to rip it from them type of thing, if the FTC could even get that far, I don't think you really hold back at this
that's
point.
In the rear view mirror. So
now I think the only holdback might be certain keywords like exclusive, and I know that might be a sore spot for some people, but at this point I don't really care, as long as it winds up in Game Pass day and date. And I'll admit, I was probably one of those at first when seeing the whole thing for the Call of Duty. I was like, "Ooh, it's too early for Division 3, but maybe, just maybe, because
I did it too."
There is a Cerberus thing that was in Division as well, not as prominent. It was just like a little statue thing you found in 2. But that logo and the redacted and stuff like that. I think they did the redacted maybe because it's not quite the marketing,
the official
thing hasn't
name
expired.
Is it supposed to be like the official name of the game? Do we have it? Wasn't it like Gulf War or something? Was it supposed to be? Or
it's Black Ops Gulf War.
Black Ops Gulf War. So it's not Black Ops 5 Gulf War, just Black Ops Gulf War.
That's what we've heard. Is
got it. Okay.
But I think they may have to do the redacted, because even though the marketing we know is up this year, is it up today, or is it up by June 9th, or is it up by November, or whatever the case may be?
Yeah.
So they might have to play a little coy in that regard, but it's going to be an awesome thing. The fact that they're going to have that at the end of the showcase, they're going to more than likely have it where they make the announcement for additional ones coming to Game Pass, and that coming to Game Pass. Like I think for the casuals, that's going to be probably the biggest hitter. But that showcase leading before it will give them definitely enough of a look of stuff that if they're just going to go to Xbox or hop on their PC and do PC Game Pass or something like that, it'll give them a peek at the tons of other games that will be probably dropping around that same time and shortly after, that you can actually now be like, okay, well, I was just going to do the Game Pass thing, but man, they have all these things. I instead of just doing a month, they'll just keep the subscription and continue playing the games. But we got Hellblade right around the corner, like I said earlier, and Avowed, probably makes it this year. I know there's some talk of maybe it gets pushed, and if it does, give them all the time they need, because Obsidian can't. I won't say they can't miss, but it's just one of those things. They always deliver as far as when you expect to play a fun, engaging game, whether it's like the Outer Worlds or it was with Grounded. They've always delivered in that regard. So I'm looking forward to Avowed this possibly this year or early next year. But Indiana Jones and the tons of other project games like Project Shaolin. I know we're starting to get more buzz about that. I really want to see what that one looks like, because I'm hearing it's going to be maybe a cell shaded or animated kind of style where it's like an RPG or ARPG style game. So definitely looking forward to that. And then we got all the, like, Xbox is known for doing updates and stuff, and they've been pretty good as far as not making them take up too much of the show. But we got Diablo 4 updates coming. We already know we got the Starfield update coming, which we'll probably get into more later. And then all the other games that they've been supporting, throughout the, their games as a service, foray and stuff like that. So it's going to be a big show. I'm excited. I'm trying not to get too excited just yet, but as time gets closer, it's going to be like Christmas Eve all over again, kind of thing. So we're kind of all Toys R Us kids at heart type of deal. But I can't wait, man. It's going to be a nice one this year, I think.
Awesome. So I agree with you on that one, brother. I mean, it's a lot going on, and I'm extremely excited about it. So I wanted to get into this handheld question because this is obviously looming, right? Like I feel like we're all kind of thinking about it a little bit. None of us have really said it outside of Game Pass Dad yet, but and we can free for all this. It doesn't have to be any particular order. I don't really have to call anybody's name, but I just want to get you guys ideas on if, say, for instance, hypothetically speaking, they decide to throw the handheld in there, like how would it actually fit in the show? Like how would you guys want them to go about that? Or are we just waiting to maybe like just a VGA and just do it then? So just free for all. Anybody want to go?
I'll go since
go
nobody's speaking.
Go ahead, brother.
I think ultimately what they, if it's going to be here, which we speculated on this early on when there was talk about them possibly doing the handheld, and about could it be earlier than we all anticipate, because it would make sense for me to go ahead and hop into the market, because it would be late, kind of part of this generation. You know what I mean? Because I wouldn't want it to be dictated, the next generation to be dictated on the power of a handheld at launch, right? So if you did it middle of this generation and it could last through into the middle of the next generation, kind of what they've done with Xbox One games this gen, right? It would make sense to go ahead and have it around now. So if that's possible for them to go ahead and do it, then I think it would show up at this show. And if they have it at this show, I think it would be probably somewhere in the middle before the biggest game announcements, because they would want you to know that the biggest games are coming also to that handheld, because that would be the selling point for it. And then they would talk about Game Pass and play anywhere and all those other kind of things.
So I do remember what Sarah said as well. So the chat, I know they're mentioning it. Well, Sarah said later this year. I get that. We're in speculation town. Sorry, we're talking to the mayor right now. So go ahead, continue, man. Continue, man.
Also, there's that whole update they're experimenting with the Wi-Fi thing, which I saw some people talking about on Twitter. That would make sense if you are implementing a handheld, right? To have that memory for the different Wi-Fi networks as you're moving around about to different places, right? So there's multiple reasons. Plus, Phil always liking the handheld stuff. The things that Sarah Bond said at the business update event 2024 about, hey, we have hardware to show this year. It could just be a controller. It could just be the redesigned Series X, right? But I just my gut tells me there's like a big surprise, And if they have that, and maybe they announce it for early next year or even sooner, maybe even this crazy thing would be this holiday, I think it would be the right time. As far as the show, when to do it, I think you'd probably do it somewhere in the middle, because I don't think you want to end it with hardware.
Yeah.
Right. Or towards the end where you still have a few big announcements left in the show for games.
In this case for Xbox, like a handheld is gigantic, because think about it, man. That's something that a lot of us consider, but we never really thought Xbox would even attempt to do a handheld, right? They've never even come close to doing a handheld, as far as I know. I think they might have played around in the background. I'm sure they've had, models and things that they played around with, but none of us have ever really, it's never really felt like that they were even going to try. So be it the fact that like they do have that, like they do, it would be like a huge like shock factor, right? I know you said they shouldn't end, but an Xbox handheld might be a big enough thing to end the show with. I think it would be fitting. Now, some people would just prefer a game. That's fine, but an Xbox handheld announcement is gigantic.
Or you start off the show so that way everybody knows every game that they see for the rest of the show will also be on that handheld. You could also do it like that. Like
That's what I'm talking.
I don't. There's so many ways you could do it. I think it's more possible than people think that it could be something that they have sooner than later.
Yeah,
I hope so. I mean, it'd be amazing, right? We all had this pipe dream of it before in the past couple generations. Like, it'd be amazing if Xbox got a handheld. When we were all playing on the PS Vita and stuff like that, it was like, oh, I want an Xbox one, you know? And like, if they do that, bro, like, it would be absolutely incredible. And they could have it like maybe power scope similar to the Series S, so that way it's already kind of a level target there for the developers to hit. You know, it makes a lot of sense. And also, I know you're getting excited, Steel.
I am.
The other thing is, like, we know it was in their scope of plans because it was literally in the leaked documents from ABK, right? It was at the top of the pyramid, but at the time it was out of scope, right? Well, what has happened since then? They have actually acquired ABK. And their budgets and all these other kind of things and the amount of money they make has all increased substantially. The second I think that they knew they were going to get ABK, and we already had heard maybe like a year ago or even before then that they already had these prototypes in the works. The second they knew that this was probably happening, I think they went ahead and said, okay, let's go ahead and bite the bullet and go ahead and get this thing up and going and see if we can make this happen sooner than later. And if that's the case, we could get one this holiday or early 2025. But I think they got to beat the Switch 2 to market.
All right, anybody else want to dive in on this? Pong, Game Pass, Steel?
Go ahead, guys. Tear it up.
Yeah, I'll go. Like,
all right, go ahead.
The whole concept of a handheld, I think they could get away with something that would be fully capable with stuff with this generation stuff and still kind of lead into the next gen. Like if it, what I'm kind of expecting from a handheld, especially if they go the ARM route, is that this device will be able to play both console games and PC games natively. Now, it's going to be some layer of emulation. And if they go that route, I think that's how you have something that comes out now that will last into the next generation. It's just that when the some of those games start getting like closer to like the mid to end of next gen, you're probably going to see that they'll be at a lower resolution, but it's a handheld. So anything that's like bumping around between 720 and 1080 isn't going to quite look as bad as in comparison if you're trying to connect that to a TV, which if you do connect it to a TV and they have a dock system that upreses or something like that. And I think part of this whole ARM thing that they're doing, as well as partnering with Intel, I think that I guess they call them an NPU, a neural processing unit, is going to try to be like hardware equivalent of DLSS. And they're also even trying to incorporate that into the Windows software. So I think Windows 12 is going to probably have, and I think they're trying to figure out a way to get it to work for Windows 11 as well. So you'll have something that can do the upres where it's running at 720, but it'll look fine at 1440 or better on a TV if you decide to go from handheld to like console or docked mode. But the console layer aspect of it is, I'm hoping that they make it so you don't have to worry about dual entitlement on third party, because I know that's always going to be like a tough spot for some publishers. Like your Take-Twos aren't going to want you to have, multiple copies of Grand Theft Auto. They already want to try to sell you Grand Theft Auto every time there's a new piece of hardware. So if you could take what you already have in your Xbox library, that's, let's say, a digital version of a game, and hopefully they have some sort of like physical to digital conversion, which they've already patented stuff for that. They've already had some stuff that we've seen them working on before for that, where you could do that type of transfer. Even beyond the Xbox One launch, they were still looking at stuff like that. Make it so your Xbox console library, whether it's the original Xbox, the 360, or the Xbox One, or even the series consoles, all of that will play on that. You could install it on this handheld, play them. It'll be, in like a little virtual console window kind of thing. And it would still play like as if it was native on an actual, set-top box or console and stuff like that. So I think if they can figure out how to do that and then do the same thing where the PC games can play on there as well. Which, if Xbox starts making it where for developers, hey, the Xbox code that you need is pretty much the PC coding that you would normally do, then I think they have a double win at that point. And I think that's the direction that they're going. But if we get that thing this holiday, it's a day one buy for me, because that will replace my Steam Deck. But if they can figure out that thing, or figure out a way to make it so it feels like a console, unless you want to do some extra, tweaks and whatever. But if they can make it so you can take your current console library and the new upcoming console library and PC library and Steam stuff and Epic Store stuff, and have it all on that one device, and maybe even the PlayStation Store when that, the PC PlayStation Store, when that comes to be or whatever. Yeah, I'm hoping that's the route that they go, and then that would make a lot of the other moves that they make sense to a lot more of the fan base. So yeah, I think that's what I hope they show. I know whether they show it now or show it later as like being part of the next gen, console, SKUs or whatever. I think that's the direction they're going to wind up taking. But I would love for it to make an appearance for this holiday. But we'll see.
Yeah, I think that Xbox is going to copy exactly what Nintendo's doing, but do it in a more PC format. You can get a Steam Deck right now for less than $500. That means it's possible. I mean, once these handheld PC devices got under $1,000, it's become more than possible. And if Microsoft can really figure out, as to Fuzzy's point, the ARM side of it, whether they use that to run more of the operating system to free up some RAM or whatever the case, because that's an ongoing issue. Again, this is why I want consoles to continue to exist, because of the R&D that is put into it. It is not my job to create a console for you. It is your job to create a console for me. And if you could create a device that allows me access in multiple ways and actually enhances the ecosystem, because I'm sorry, guys, like, as much as exclusives are cool and all, I really think it's more so the ecosystem that Xbox has had this entire time that has made me love what Xbox is.
I would agree with that. I agree.
So, and again, I know there's a very personal thing, and there's more that goes into it, and there's a lot of plays that need to be made. And this is like an unfortunate but fortunate situation, because there is no other company that has tread this path. We are at a point in gaming where it is truly unknown. See, before we were like, oh no, it can't get any better, but then it gets better. You're like, oh, okay, well, maybe I can start seeing how this continues to get better. Things have become more PC-like. We have reached, this is what Moore's Law, when you actually want to take it in consideration, not saying you got to listen to it completely, but we have reached the top of what we're going to reach. And of course it can get better, but there's going to be more detail-oriented things that happen first. And I think a handheld device, even teasing it this year, I think it'll be dope just to get it your first iteration out this year. Mainly because, especially if you can get your first iteration right around that ROG Ally price, what sweet $599. Because again, Xbox also had that partnership with ROG. So if you take the ROG off, you put Xbox, or you call it a ROG Xbox Ally, or whatever you want to do, and just say that, hey, this is our first iteration of it, and then the second iteration you can release with the next generation, and all of it's going to be backwards and forwards compatible. Because again, I give you this example as well. The 4080 GPU is about the same size as the Series S. When do you think that power is going to fit into a console? It's not going to happen. How they do it is figuring out other ways, like AI, like ARM, like other ways to try to figure out, hey, how can we deliver power more efficiently? How can we fit what people are looking for in these boxes? Again, yeah, you can run ultra settings on a 4090, but again, when it's the size of your console, what are we talking about? So for the handheld, as long as it can get the Series S to like a Series S standpoint and really work on the onus of them honoring backwards compatibility, continue to building out their library, they're already making the right steps as far as supporting their ecosystem. I forgot who brought it up. Sorry, I think it was Fuzz, but the third-party games for entitlement and everything. Yeah, it was Fuzzy. When you bring those into discussion, if they're able to also once you start seeing the influx of people coming into Game Pass because of the handheld or whatever you want to pull in there, it becomes much easier for you to go to these companies and say, hey, how about we start thinking about doing entitlement where maybe we cut you in on the deal, maybe we work out some kind of some kind of deal that you can allow people to buy this game one time and play on our device, no matter what ecosystem that they're a part of. And inherently, I think what would end up happening is people would want to spend more money at that point. Now, again, the future is very, it's not dark, but it is very cloudy because we don't know the direction that this can happen. Again, everything can go completely left within the next 6 months. But if we're getting closer to quantum computing, if technology is going to continue to move forward, I think them stepping out with this handheld is going to be a real showstopper. And I want them to show at the beginning of the show. Yeah. You just start the show with just petty as hell. You just need to come out. Xbox does what Sony don't. And come out with a guy with a PlayStation Vita that says, or a PSP that says, you remember when there was a company that made something like this? Now look at what petty Xbox. As hell. I think they should do something petty. You
reading Pong's playbook over there.
Hey man, you gotta. The internet is a powerful thing. You gotta play to what the internet likes. You know, some petty.
Facts. Okay, Pong, you got anything you want to get in on this handheld before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, I guess everybody's pretty much covered it at this point. If they do show at the showcase, I would say in the middle, right? The middle would be a great spot for it to kind of break up the games. If they're going to show as many games as I think they are, the pacing I imagine is going to match or be close to last year. And after 40-45 minutes last year, while we were co-streaming it, we were like, man, we're exhausted.
Yeah,
like,
a little bit of break.
We were so excited.
Where's that indie sizzle reel at?
Yeah. So I think the middle would be a perfect spot to drop something like that. Really exciting to show off. Like Steele said, this is what we were talking about this morning. Maybe the first iteration is going to be ready. That's what I called it, because I do believe the first iteration isn't going to be its final form, right? I think the handheld that they're looking at doing as a companion to the next gen console is definitely going to be beefier. If they're going the way that a lot of us believe that they're going to go, and it's going to be for the enthusiasts from here on out, and this stuff ain't going to be cheap, folks. It's not. It's going to be for the people who really want it. If that's the route they're going, then yeah, getting the first iteration out in line, like Steele was just talking about, like everybody was talking about with current gen and that kind of stuff, and slot it right in there in the ROG Ally range or whatever. Yeah, that's what you do if they're ready to do that. I personally wouldn't do the hardware here. Personally, I keep this all gaming.
Got it.
I would
maybe
have
VGAs then or something.
Yeah, or another direct.
Mm-hmm.
Have a hardware direct. Hell,
that's a good
why
idea.
Not? If you're doing, why not? I mean, you could definitely do it if you've got the Elite 3 coming, if you've got the mid-gen refresh coming, right? If they're going to go the discless Series X, which we've seen, and you got the handheld, have a hardware direct. People will show up and watch that. Of course they will. Like, it'll be exciting as hell. So yeah, personally, I wouldn't do it here. But yeah, I think everybody's spot on with this handheld. If they are ready, then I think they're going to announce it this year. And obviously beating the Switch 2 to the market would be a big deal, but they're going to be kind of in their own realm, in the same kind of realm that the handheld PCs are. It's just going to hopefully play natively your Xbox games, which will be fantastic. But obviously they're fast tracking this thing. They're doing all that testing on the UI that we saw this week for the Wi-Fi. I mean, yes, some people have been asking for the Wi-Fi to be able to, to switch on the fly Wi-Fi because they bring their console places. But come on, let's be real. That's like 1%. Okay, that's like 1%. They're doing this because obviously the handheld needs that working.
Oh, absolutely.
Like that's a big thing. So they are fast tracking this thing, and I think they're going to be ready to show it off this year. Whether or not it launches by holiday this year, that's the next question. But I think there's a possibility they do. I think there's a possibility they've been working on this thing for a couple years already. Mm-hmm. We already know that 3 years ago we heard smoke that they had a working Series S handheld in the office. Like, they had a working prototype that was Series S quality. And so if they had already done all that R&D and the tech just got a little bit better, and they obviously have seen what everybody else is doing, yeah, maybe they do have it ready for this holiday. It's gonna be a big moment whenever they decide to do it. But personally, I wouldn't do it. But if you are gonna do it here, do it in the middle. Give us a break in the middle with some hardware. Let's go.
I like that. I like the better idea, like you said. I didn't think of the hardware direct. I fucking that got me excited a little bit, man. Pause. I know. Still, I know. But that's a great fucking idea. I didn't even consider that, Pong. That would be. They got enough room. There's plenty of space to do it on the back end of this year. You know what I mean?
Some of the engineers, get Jason Ronald on camera, man. It'd be dope. Yeah, go behind the scenes, take a look at how.
It don't even have to be a long show. It don't even got to be super long. Nice little 25, 30-minute show is good to go. So I feel you on that. That's a great fucking idea. So I do want to turn the page a little bit on this though, because I want to get into this next topic, and this is right up your alley, Pong. Right up your alley, brother. So I want to get into the Starfield update, the May update, brother, and just some of the things off the rip, man. I want to say so. I want to give Bethesda a little bit of fucking credit, right? I know they don't get a whole lot of credit on that Bird app. People be going crazy on Bethesda. People talk about a lot of what they don't do and what they aren't anymore and all this nostalgia legacy
stuff. Not anymore. Everybody's loving Fallout 76 and Fallout 4 now. So,
I mean, when you bring up Starfield, people sometimes that tone comes back a little bit. People still kind of. But with this May update, I do want to give them all their flowers, because there's one thing to be said about a dev team that underperformed, right? And Bethesda did not underperform, in my opinion, in any way with the release of Starfield. If anything, for me, they overperformed, getting that game to run as well as it did, look as well as it did. Do as much as you can do in that game, because let's be honest, Pong, there's no other game like Starfield currently, like not on console or anything close. I mean, we was comparing this shit to StarCraft, all these other games that aren't even similar to that one. We don't have another experience. It's a right? But I do want to give them their flowers, because they did put their head down and get back in the lab and deliver what they said they were going to do. Some people argue, people like to run it back like, oh, well, this should have been in there for the beginning. It wasn't. Sorry. You get over it. That was 8 months ago. It's there now. It's going to be there now. So can we just be excited about what we're getting? Because they've been cooking, and I appreciate what they've been doing. It's a massive, massive May update, and I kind of want to go over just a couple things. Let me just pull it up here shortly what the May update entails. So, and then you guys can get into more of the particulars, but let me just load it up here. All right. So some of the couple quick changes, obviously improved surface maps, which is huge, right? People had issues with the navigating some of the maps and planets. It was a bit vague a lot of times where you needed to go. New gameplay options, for those who like a bit of an extra challenge, added ship decorations, added tabs to container menus, added ability to change traits, added dialogue, added display settings for Xbox Series X. Obviously then the big thing obviously is the if you're on PC and Xbox Series X, is the uncapped frame. You got 30, 40, 60 options now, VRR display running at 120. You can prioritize visuals, performance. That's a lot of the overlaying stuff, but I kind of wanted to get into you guys particulars about this update. I just want to make sure I give Bethesda a little bit of credit for sticking with their game, because it's one thing that a lot of Xbox studios do. They do follow through, and they try, within reason, they do stick with the game and try and see it through. And it ends up in a really good state. Look at all the games we talk about, Grounded, the Halo Infinites. These games do end up in a better place when they are supported properly. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna start with you on this one, Paul, because I know this is a big thing for you. Just kind of what do you think about the May update? What does this mean going forward for like Shattered Space? Because this is all happening prior to the DLC coming out. So that means all of this stuff will be in place once that drops. So no more of those problems or questions when this DLC comes out. We're not going to have to ask, is there a 60 option, anything like that? So you don't have that with the Shattered Space. So where are you at?
Options, baby. Options. They're giving us the options we all requested, and I'm happy for Bethesda. They're riding a high right now, coming off the Fallout stuff, and how everybody is finding out that Bethesda makes generational type games again, and some people for the first time. So they're riding a high, and Starfield is that third game in the trilogy that Todd always wanted, right? We've talked about this in the past. He's got the high fantasy in Elder Scrolls. He's got the dystopian in Fallout, and now he's got his sci-fi game that he's been dreaming about for decades in Starfield, and he's not going to let this baby. This is his baby. I talked about this in the lead up to the launch of Starfield. If you really think about it, this is Todd's first like fully original IP. Like again, Elder Scrolls, he took over. It was already a game, and some of the lore was already written. Fallout, same thing. When they got Fallout, yes, he massively changed the direction of that franchise, but a lot of the lore was established, kind of the atmosphere was established, and he took and built upon that. And so Starfield's like his original baby, something that he and his team built from the ground up. He talked about it prior to launch, that this was going to be supported for years. Bethesda does this. This is the thing that I still flabbergasts me at this point when we get articles like PC Gamer this week saying they should just say screw it and give up on Starfield and put that energy into Fallout. Like this you don't know Bethesda then you don't understand who Todd and his team are, because they grow their games along with the modding community, obviously one of the most amazing modding communities in the entire world, when it comes to backing up a developer, and they hire out of the modding community, but they themselves also continue to improve upon their game and do new things that change that game over time. And I think Starfield, being different from the other two franchises, and Todd's spoken about this many times, and he touched on it again with Greg Miller this past week on Kind of Funny in the interview. They've really got a moment in time here where they can continue to make this game more and more what they've always wanted it to be. And obviously, again, in a perfect world, that game launched with options. That game launched potentially with land vehicles. That game launched with maps for cities and better maps for the planets, all the quality of life stuff that everybody's already talked about and we've dissected and said ourselves. In a perfect world, that happens, but obviously it didn't. But Bethesda's not going to give up on this game. They're going to continue to improve upon this game. They're going to continue to add things that people have asked for. They're obviously listening. If they didn't already have a lot of this stuff in the back of their heads or on sheets that they were planning on doing and already working on when it launched, they are obviously working on this stuff and take it very seriously. To say, again, Todd undersold what this update was going to be to Greg Miller a little bit. When I saw the final list of what they're talking about doing here and what they're giving everybody, it was phenomenal, on top of course, the performance stuff, which is something that we asked for. Again, they're not just giving us one more option. They're giving us 3 options, which is awesome. And again, it's only for Series X. Series S right now is left in the cold. Speculation is that they're going to work on a Series S version of the update to try to help the Series S maybe get some more performance out of it. And I hope that does happen. But the Series X was the focus, as they stated in their rollout of this, and it shows. So I am extremely excited. Again, Steele and I talked about this morning. Two things can be true at the same time. Starfield is already my favorite game of all time, and it can also be true that it gets better. And that's exactly what's happening here into the lead up of Shattered Space. And when Shattered Space rolls around, I imagine they will have the land vehicles out. They probably will have some more updates as well on some of the other things that are still kind of out there. I don't expect them to stop working on Starfield for a couple years at least. I think there might just be a permanent team, a small team on it that's continuously updating it over time. Because again, this is Todd's baby. He's not going to give up on it. He's not going to say, screw it, it didn't meet our expectations, so we're just going to move on. He's not going to do that. He's going to make sure that when it's all said and done, people remember Starfield, even the people that didn't like it initially. He's going to make sure that a big group of people at the end of the day come back and say, you know what, Starfield is a freaking great game now, just like they're doing with Fallout 4, just like they're doing with Fallout 76 as we speak. So many people have come out of the woodwork and say, never gave this a shot, gave it a shot, hated it in the beginning. This is actually a really freaking good game now. That's what I believe is going to happen with Starfield for those people. And those of us that already love it, it's just going to get better and better for us at the end of the day. So, well,
the thing people don't realize about Bethesda games, and I realize this, and I think I talked about this maybe a couple months ago, like there's a certain magic inside of it. They create the game a little differently than a lot of other studios, man. And like you said, even with the game being in the state that it was in, I mean, it wasn't in a bad state by any means at all, but just, content, some of the things that were missing that people would have wanted day one, like there's still going to be plenty of people, like you said, diving in. That's the one thing about, Bethesda games. They're like Ford trucks. They're built to last, man. You know what I mean? They're going to be there, and they're going to get the support that they deserve. A lot of games, for all intents and purposes, you even said it, Pong. 76 should have been canned.
Oh yeah,
like years ago. They should have walked away from that years ago after like a year of it being out, and they didn't. As bad as the state that game was in, as down as people were on the Fallout series, that game has come back it rose from the ashes like a phoenix. That just goes to show you that's the testament to Todd, the team, everybody at Bethesda. They really believe in the games that they make, even when it feels like the public doesn't. You know what I mean? Like they know that formula is gonna work. Like at some point, people are gonna realize, oh shit, this game isn't what I thought it was anymore. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And they're going to come back and they're going to realize, oh shit, this game is actually really good. They did a lot of stuff to this. So, yeah, absolutely.
You're spot
absolutely.
on, brother. You're spot on. I can't even add anything to that because it's exactly what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, I'm going to throw this over to you, Steele. And shout out to Game Pass Dad, man. I know he had to step out, man. He has to go stream. So go follow Game Pass Dad on Twitch as well. I believe shown through the link in chat. So when you leave here, go say hi to him. You know what I mean? Go sub up over there too. Appreciate him stopping in. But still, man, like Starfield, obviously, right? The point of contention for some people. Not you, I know, not you still, but a point of contention. But just where you at with the May update, the longevity of the game, and I think it's significant that they're doing all of this pre-Shattered Space as well.
Yeah, Starfield is interesting, especially being more of a Bethesda newbie more than anything. Starfield has definitely opened my eyes to their games, and also has helped me realize how I like to play their games. I don't regret playing particular games. I just feel like that's kind of weird or whatever. Though sometimes when I do look back on Starfield, the things that I'm missing, like when I look at the mods, especially going back to their older games, Fallout 4, Skyrim, et cetera, and seeing how some of the mods that are dropping into Starfield now, it's just kind of like, damn, man, I really would have had some of these things. Like I seen an actual Millennium Falcon that you could drop in Starfield, and it's still inhabitable and everything. It's still, you can walk around. Same thing with the X-Wing, and that's exactly what I was looking for out of that, right? As long as the lightsabers and everything else that they're implementing now. I guess I've just become a Bethesda fan that is a non-purist, maybe. Maybe that's part of the problem, but it is dope seeing the updates come in. What's not dope is being told that it's one thing and it's not that. Right, saying it's not possible or making it come across that certain things like performance or just having options as far as performance goes, it wasn't going to be possible on these consoles. Telling people that, hey, even in the interview that he did when went back and listened to it earlier, telling people that, hey, Starfield was made for modern hardware, and if it's not good enough for you to get a PC, it's like, but you updated it almost a year later and it runs on 60 on console now. So there's always more optimization that could be done. I'm not in the camp that's like, oh well, they should have just indefinitely delayed the game. That's not a reality. We still have to be somewhat real about the business of games. As a consumer, I'm going to continue to speak up and say that, hey, not everything was where I would have liked it to be day one, but it doesn't keep it from the game fair. Being an 8 out of 10 for me. And honestly, especially with like the land vehicles and stuff bringing in, I felt like they should have stood on their square. I felt like they should have stood on the square and said, we're not doing land vehicles, and gave other enhancements for the jetpack, because you made it. I didn't find the inherent value in the jetpack like they were teasing it or making it seem. And I would have liked more, whether that been with the way it propels you forward, the other little tricks, because once you know the trick for jetpacking around, I'm pretty sure that the trick that I remember is still going to be faster than me using a land vehicle. Now, again, if you're using it for more resources and things like that, then I guess it is what it is from that aspect, and that could be really, very usable.
I would assume maybe there's a component, like a storage component to the land vehicle. You can offload things which you can't really do on your own with you know what I mean? So there's a little bit of utility there.
Yeah, I would definitely hope so. But it's dope to see. Continue to support this game. I do agree with Pong. I mean, this is Todd's baby. As long as he's in the industry, he's going to continue to see the victories that he can be made out of this game. And I do think that ZeniMax Online is working on a Starfield Online. I think that has to be the thing that they're working on in the background. They've been working on Elder Scrolls Online for so long. I don't think that they're going to do anything else with it outside of expansions and stuff, of course, because they've been consistent about that. But there has to be something else in the tuck. Star Wars, we talked about that earlier this morning as well. There's too many things lining up that just seem like you might as well take full advantage of this IP that you created, of this world, and get people involved. So
that would be dope. All right, so good, some good ideas there. Still some good ideas, but I like where you're thinking at. So let me throw this over to Mav, Mr. FSP, the General himself, man. I mean, obviously the Starfield, you played a ton of it. You got a bunch of hours in it. But like, what do you think of this May update? Obviously, like I said, I think it's significant that this is dropping. No matter how you feel about when these updates should have been here, like I just don't ever get wrapped up in that, because it doesn't really matter, because we're gonna get them when we get them. At the end of the day, reality is.
You should have listened to me, man, on Thursday then, because we had Retribution night.
No, I get it. I understand, man. Like, I get it, right? Like, everybody's gonna feel how they feel, and I'm fine with that. You guys got PCs, and everybody has different options, and once those options at different times, I just don't. Sometimes, people get caught up in the in-between stuff, and I just prefer to get excited about what's actually going on in reality. The fact that these updates are here now is still an exciting thing. I don't have to think back 8 months and be like, man, this sours my experience now. Like, I don't need to do that to myself. You know what I mean? Because it's not going to change what I didn't get 8 months ago, right? So I don't even need to go into all of that. But Mav, just where you at on just, the update, just going forward, Starfield, the future of Starfield, after getting some of these updates.
Yeah, man. Overall, I'm just really pumped about everything they're adding to it. Me and Pong is the Retribution and all that kind of stuff is more as so about all the people that are against us asking for these options in games, right? And more so than actually being disappointed about the update and not being there at launch now, right? It's about the discourse that we've had against us for so long about, oh, you shouldn't ask for options on performance modes in every game. It's just ridiculous. We're console gamers. We're not we shouldn't ask for those kind of things. And we did, and we said that it should have been there at launch on Redfall, on Starfield, and things like that, and they weren't there, right? So all the people that said it's not possible, it's possible. Right?
Well, the not possible stuff is kind of strange, but I get where you're going. I didn't see a whole lot of that, but
that's kind of the separate thing as opposed to the rest of the content there. Yeah. But overall, it's just a really good thing. You have multiple options depending on what kind of display you're actually playing on. So if you have a 120 hertz display, you can have your 40 frames mode with VRR to take advantage of your 120 hertz display. Or if you have more of a normal display or whatever, you got your 60 hertz, or you can do 60 hertz with VRR, all that kind of cool stuff. So there's multiple options there for people that like to play in the different ways, which is amazing. That's the most exciting thing because I know I'm going to have just a smoother experience overall on the consoles. Others think, but Bethesda didn't say it's not possible. I'm talking about the community.
Just community. That's what I was saying. I'm glad you said it, because in my head I'm like, I don't know what Mav is talking about, because I didn't hear Bethesda
talking about the people that were coming at us for
got it. That's
asking
fair.
for these things.
That's fair.
That's more about the Retribution. Like I said, it's not about it's not about it not being there necessarily at launch now. It's not about all that stuff. It's about the kickback we get for simply asking for this kind of thing. But it's possible, and I think that overall, I don't want to overshadow the amazingness of the update, because there's a lot of things here that are absolutely amazing. The surface maps.
That thing is beautiful, man.
The city maps. I'll say that's something that maybe for me that could have been there at launch, a little bit better way to traverse, because that was a more so when I was in cities a lot. I was kind of trying to figure out where to go
where I'm going.
Yeah.
Sometimes
that would have been helpfully more at launch, but the overall, it just looks like an awesome update. I love the fact that they are working on land vehicles. I had this in the back of my mind to be able to ride on a little scooter around the planets, just because I think it'd be fun. But
a space Vespa,
right? They're actually going for a full on vehicle here, and they said it's the first vehicle, so that has me even more excited that there's going to be even more added to it. It seems like they're just listening to what people want and the discourse of features and things that people have been asking for, and they're bringing them to us, and because Bethesda supports their games like they always have, right? And that's something that I can't stand when people say like, oh, they should just move on from Starfield. You even see
I
this
hate
in
that,
like
man.
some of these articles and all these kind of things now. Like, what? Like, come on. I've never seen that kind of attention to an 80 plus Metacritic game, right? A game that has had a lot of praise, was breaking records for Bethesda at
Bro,
launch,
you got to
right?
understand, Starfield was getting compared to every game that came out, every significant game that came out last year, and it wasn't even out.
Right.
Like we in
we tried
June and May talking about, man, what's this going to look like next to Starfield? I wonder what Zelda is going to be next to
Yeah.
Starfield. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
And we would try and tell people like that's not that kind of game, not the kind of
Yeah.
game. They're like, oh, why are you trying to tell us that? You know, so I'm just excited that because it's a space game, it's going to be like No Man's Sky. Like, yeah, because you're misleading the community, you're misleading your viewership, you're misleading all the people because you are putting this in their minds that it's like this game, and it's not. Everything Bethesda had told us about before was that it was a Bethesda game. It was like Skyrim in space, right? Or that you have uh, uh, all the options that they have. They showed during the dev direct, they showed how all the systems are going to work. Yet people still expected something else. They expected it to be No Man's Sky,
Crazy.
and it never really. I never really understood that, and it guess what? It came back to bite them at launch because a lot of the criticisms that they had were like, oh, it's missing this. Like, oh, why can't it have this? Like No Man's Sky, or I expected this. And it's like, no, that was never what it was gonna be, right? But I think ultimately you're right. People have learned more what it is. They're gonna add things to it over time, and some things that people did want, even though it maybe even not in the original plans, and keep growing the game over time. I'm even more excited about the expansion that's
Me
coming
too.
out later
Yeah.
this year, bro, because I have no idea really what to expect with it. And they said like huge expansion during that update is coming later this year. So when that drops, I think it's going to give a whole another
You
reason
think
for
we
people
get
to
like
dive
its? You
in.
think it get its own like direct, not direct, but like kind of little show? You think they might do it for the expansion, or it'll just be a part of something else?
I think Bethesda will have probably another video at least, or another little smaller direct about it, or some kind of developer insights
Yeah.
about the expansion later on. I think it's possible we get another type show like around Gamescom time. I mean, they could have more around then, but I think we'll get our first look at this showcase here about what Shattered Space is. And when that hits, I think you're going to see another whole level of discourse around Starfield. Like, oh, they're finally bringing us the game that we always just and stuff like that. And it's just like it was a great game at launch. It's been a great game ever since launch. There've been amazing updates ever since launch, multiple improvements on the game, and that's something that's always going to happen with games and even great games, right? But overall, I think this is the most important update we've had for my enjoyment level, right? Just because of the features that it is adding with the display modes and stuff like that. But then again, we'll have the Shattered Space, which will be even better, and then we'll have something else next year, and then something else next year after that, and after that, and then 5 years from now, like you said, people being like, "Wow, man, I wish games could be like Starfield."
When we get that Starfield TV show.
Yeah, exactly. 65 million players have played Starfield. You know, you'll be like news like that and stuff. And overall, it's a massive franchise for them. It's one that's going to continue for a very long time. And despite the weird articles, the weird sentiment that you see sometimes, it doesn't really paint a picture of what kind of shape the game is actually in. So super excited, man. It's a great update.
Awesome. I'm happy too, man. I'm really here to just give Bethesda their flowers, Pong. That's all I'm here for. You know what I mean? You guys can get into the details. I'll be the buffer. I'll be here just to give them their flowers. I just don't think we do that enough, Pong. Like we give these devs so much grief, like, and some of it's their fault, right? I don't want to absolve them of some of the things. Sometimes they double speak, they don't execute, and they say things and don't deliver. But I love when a developer just sticks to their guns. Like, I understand we don't always get the things we want in the time frames we do, but I think Bethesda's always been like this though, Pong, and people don't even realize that. They always fucking support their game.
That's because they've been together for so long. That's because they've got the leader in Todd Howard who believes in his visions and the team's vision, and they don't waver. He did it again when Greg asked him about kind of the pushback against Starfield. Todd said some of it was expected because we knew we were making a different type of game. It's different from our other games in some ways, and we kind of figured that was going to happen. But Todd reiterated in that interview, they're not going to stop making these types of games. This is what they do, and love them or hate them, they are who they are. But this is what's made them classic devs, the best devs, in my opinion, that have made generational games, and they're just going to keep doing that as long as Todd's in charge and Todd has a voice in that room. This is what they do. And again, all you have to do is look at Fallout. All you have to do is, it only took a TV show, right? It only took a series to get everybody to jump into 2 games out of the group, Fallout 4 and Fallout 76, that didn't have the best reception. Fallout 76 was Left 4 Dead. Nobody wanted to play that game. Everybody said it was horrible, etc. Fallout 4 had a nice big launch, right? It had a nice big launch, kind of like Starfield did, but then people started saying, it's not Fallout. Like, they just changed it too much. It ain't my type of game. What's Bethesda doing? Has Bethesda lost? That's when the article started. Has Bethesda lost it? Then when they launched 76, it really ramped up. Is Bethesda done? Has Bethesda lost its magic? Well, all of a sudden a TV show comes out, a bunch of new people jump into it, the hype train gets rolling, and all of a sudden everybody's rediscovering, oh no, these games are actually really pretty damn good. Right? They're pretty, and again, they've done a ton of work on Fallout 76, especially, but even Fallout 4 with the update, even though it's not perfect and it's broken on, on Series X and stuff.
Yeah.
It's still a great update. It's still playing at 60 frames, but now people don't have a problem with the loading screens. People don't have a problem with all the stuff they talked about in Starfield. This is what a veteran team like Bethesda with a leader like Todd can pull off time and time and time again. And, they've certainly gotten their flowers over the years.
Definitely.
They've got a big group of us who are Bethesda super fans that love Bethesda and love their games. And that hasn't changed. But now it's time for new people to discover. And with Fallout, they are, but that's because the magic's still there. They've never lost it. The industry might change. Some people might say, I don't like this style of game anymore. It's just not for me. It's not modern. It's not as modern as some other games, but there's still Bethesda magic that I always say. Nobody does open worlds. Nobody does sandbox open world RPGs like Bethesda. They have created kind of a subgenre within that genre all by themselves, and nobody's done it yet to that level. And that still rings true when people jump into those games a lot of times.
Yeah, facts. Facts. Let me throw this over to you, Fuzz. We're talking about this Starfield, a game that you mentioned earlier. Being a diehard Forza fan, you did not pick up Forza right away. You actually held off on playing Forza for a good bit of time before you dove into it because you were so into Starfield. And I'm new to Bethesda games too, and I was just as wrapped up as you as well too. So that goes to show you. But with this May update, you're getting all these quality of life changes, Fuzz. Obviously, we got shattered space around the corner. We got all these things. They're even teasing things like vehicles and all kind of cool shit. So once again, I just highlight the fact that they are supporting this game. They're working very hard to make it the best it could be, whatever their vision for the game, not ours, so to speak, because they do have their own personal vision of the game. It usually ends up lining up with majority of the time what we enjoy anyway, but kind of where you at on the update and just the future and this dropping before that Shattered Space DLC.
Well, I'm glad that they're doing a lot of the quality of life stuff. Like Steele said, I was one of those that was fine with the jetpacks when you do a couple of mods to them or do a couple of upgrades. So I'm also a strong believer that the jetpack will ultimately be faster than the land vehicle. But outside of that, I've had 2 like game breaking bugs, one's a game breaking bug and the other one's more of like a visual glitch, but I hope those are fixed. I submitted tickets on those a long time ago, but outside of that, everything else is gravy on top of it. And the fact that they're going to have the mod tools out, the official mod tools, which, people have been able to make a lot of stuff already just based on like previous experience with modding, Bethesda games, but having the official mod tools, I totally expect people to be making like a Fallout planet or a Skyrim planet or things along those lines, and just a whole bunch of other random other things that we would like to see in the game just for fun. But Shattered Space, I know it's a little bit past the 6 months that they said as far as the original release from the original release time window or whatever, but given that they're working on a lot of these other quality of life things like the map, which would have been greatly appreciated at launch, but for the most part, I guess it made it a little bit more fun. It's almost like going to the grocery store and they always put the milk and eggs at the back, so you have to constantly go through the entire store before you can get to it, type of thing. So not having the map made it a little bit more of a wandering, exploring type of experience and stuff. But that map is a very nice upgrade that we'll see. The vehicles coming later is a very nice upgrade, and I'm hoping there's a couple more surprises, like things like either the mech suits, which are in the game, as far as like the ones from the wars, which are banned and whatnot. But I could see somebody getting one of those things functional or something along those lines, and just the additional shipbuilding upgrades and customization. I'm hoping they do like which some people have already done through other mods, space bases or whatever. Like you could already do like a base on land, but if you could do one like a space station or something like that, that would be pretty cool. Some more customization available for the ships, or more pieces and types and things like that.
Yeah.
I know that they're going to have like a blank canvas kind of hub.
Yeah, inside they're gonna have a like you just said, an empty hub with nothing in it, just completely empty. Yeah,
and this game, like we all kind of speculated early on, this is going to be a game that's still going 10 years from now, type of deal. And the fact that they're still supporting it, and the whole PC gamer thing, like. I loved Pong's response to them. They should just give it up, this gaming journalism, and throw everything they've done in the trash, kind of thing, because that's where it belongs. Like I know some of us were probably like, yeah, they should probably give up on 76, but you see what not giving up did. It actually brought the game back, and the TV series is now exposing a lot more people to it that may have even given up on it in the initial launch and stuff. So supporting a game is what Microsoft and Bethesda seem to do best. When a game doesn't necessarily land as great for the fans, like even things like Redfall, they continue at it. They get you your 60 frames, mode and stuff like that. Do some updates, listen to the fan base, and give them some of the things that they've been looking for. That's all you can really ask of a dev, for continuous support on a game that you either spent money on or it's in your subscription, whatever the case may be. It's awesome to see that stuff. And Shattered Space can't come soon enough, although that just means probably another 400 or 500 more hours in the Starfield. But it would all be for a good cause. As far as I can't imagine where they take this. Like when I first heard about that Shattered Space DLC, I was kind of thinking what is actually one of the mechanics that's actually in the game is what I was thinking Shattered Space would be. But now that they actually have that, and I guess some
that was in the base
might,
game.
Like I'm wondering if we get to find out more about the Varun and things along those lines, or if it's something completely different, like that one mission where you're jumping in and out of a different timeline type of deal. But I can't wait for any of this. I'm hoping that they continue to surprise us like every 6 months to a year. Like, all right, the 2-year anniversary, we have even more stuff. Oh, by the way, there's a co-op mode or something like that. Or maybe the ZeniMax online is actually a online Starfield or Starfield MMO or something like that. But it was great to see that they made that announcement. And Todd, he's not always the loosest lips when it comes to his interview and things like that. So it was great to see that he was willing to open up on some things, and made some mentions as far as like the Fallout thing, and being more open to other teams possibly working on that, which that we've kind of asked for, kind of low key kind of thing. But this is a franchise that will be a tentpole for Xbox. I know people are like, oh, the game of the generation, blah blah blah, but it's like, it's funny how all of those that had like negative critiques without even playing the game are still talking about the game, whether they played it or not. So if it's not the game of a generation, it sure as hell is living rent free in a lot of people's heads. So, but aside from that, this is a great game, and it's only going to get greater with more updates and content and stuff like that. But from the rip, I enjoyed the hell of a lot of time in that game. So I'm happy.
Same.
And they're even given, I don't know if you mentioned it to PTK in the beginning when you were reading through that stuff, but they're even starting to add in the survival stuff. And I know survival games aren't everybody's bag of tea, but there's a whole survival games have become a pretty big genre at this point.
I agree. Yeah.
And that's going to add another aspect to Starfield for other players who maybe didn't jump in it right away because, maybe Bethesda RPGs just aren't their thing. But you start throwing that survival stuff in there, more people are jump back into that. Some of the players that just already played the hell out of it we'll go back to it and try it in survival mode and maybe get addicted to the survival mode too. That again, they're not just doing quality of life updates. They're not just doing the little stuff. They're actually, again, the game's evolving in front of us, and there's going to be a lot of new ways to play this game, especially once the actual modding tools get in the hands of the modders, which Todd confirmed they have the toolkit into some of the bigger modding community members. They're already testing it. And he said they built this game from the ground up with everything they learned from their previous games. And they hadn't necessarily made those games from the ground up with the modding community in mind. It just so happens they, had a great toolkit that the modders could do a lot with. But he said Starfield was specifically built with that idea behind it. So it's going to be even better and easier for the modding community to do what they want to do in Starfield. So that is going to change it as well dramatically. I mean, again, I can't wait to see whole planets evolve or whatever they're going to be insane, brother. Like Fuzzy was talking about the mechs. Somebody had already made a mech without the mod tool. Somebody already had a working mech. So yeah, once they open up the door, there's going to be all that stuff. We already saw the Star Wars stuff coming into it. That's going to be a thing where somebody has a full Star Wars mod. It's going to be
think
amazing.
about what you're just saying. Think about what you're saying for a second. Just take a step back, Pong. Think about all the ideas you just had. We're talking about one game. You're not talking about 3 different games. But this is why I always get so irritated when people talk about Starfield and they mislabel it. We're talking. He just talked about like 4 different types of like genre of games that you can make within this one game. This is the base game.
Yeah.
Like, I think people don't understand. This is why you have to take a step back and really look at the way Bethesda builds their games. Because it's not just a pretty game in a huge world. You got to account for the physics, the ability, the storylines, the fluctuation in the NPCs, and you know what I mean, the liveliness of the world, and all these little components, the physics and gravity, and these things are in that game from day one, Pong. Like, that's in the DNA of a Bethesda game. Yep. And I don't think people really understand it. And then you give people tools, like you give them the keys and say, here, go just do a bunch of cool shit. Like, I don't really think people understand that, Paul.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, Bethesda was one of the main reasons why, I mean, again, modding community has always been big on PC side, but Bethesda was one of the first big studios that really, really embraced the modding community the way they did. Yes, it's still separated. Obviously, we just found out what happened with the London modders, the team that's creating the London. They weren't given a heads up on the date that they were going to release the update, the next gen patch, and that screwed up their plans. So Bethesda still keeps it separate, but they hire directly out of the modding community. But yeah, people have to realize that is a big part, and not everybody is, right?
No, yeah, that's
a lot of our community is console players. Yeah. We are just starting to get a taste. Mods are available on console for the Bethesda titles now, so this is going to grow even on consoles. But it certainly is much more of a PC thing. You got people like Steel who do love to mod the hell out of all their games, right? Again, I am more of a purist, right? And I like to play the games the way the developers give them to me, right? And now that I do have a PC, obviously I've looked at some of the mods. I still haven't jumped into it like that, but if a full Star Wars mod does come to Starfield, am I going to pop it on? Of course I am. I'm going to want to check it out and play it. So I think it just opens up more and more. But yeah, people should realize that this, again, that's a big part of why Bethesda games stay relevant for 10 years or more, a decade or more. There's still a couple thousand people playing Morrowind every single goddamn day. That's like 20 some years old now. like again, there's a reason why. That's the modding community. They continue to improve these games as well as Bethesda themselves. Bethesda eventually moves on, but the modding community continues to add to them. And
isn't it crazy that they can move on and a game still just stands up on its own?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, they're not even actively doing anything. They may go check back. I'm sure they do quality of life stuff behind the scenes, and, all of that stuff. But they're not going in there really doing any tinkering anymore. They're not messing with anything major. So the fact that these games just hold up on their own, people go in there, mess with them, do all kind of cool stuff, and the game just I'm sorry, it still just works, right? I'm still tied, right? Kind of thing there. But like, I think that's the most incredible thing about the way they build games, and that was what I was so enthralled about when I got into Starfield. You know, being a new Bethesda fan, new Bethesda player myself, I didn't realize that. You know, and it took a little bit of time, and you really got to take a step back sometimes. And I know everybody's not going to get it, Pone. You're absolutely right, and that's any game, right? You know, we said about every game that comes out, but Starfield is a very unique experience, you know, and I think people are going to see that over time. This is just the first step. This is really just the first. This is many more quality of life updates coming, many more DLCs. You know, as long as Todd wants it, you know, it'll happen. You know, as long as the team is still excited about updating and working on a game, you know, these things are going to happen. So
it's
awesome.
His baby, man.
Yeah.
It's his baby. He's not going to let it die. And again, there will
Definitely.
be a Starfield 2 after Fallout 5. They will begin work on Starfield. I firmly believe that. They will work on another one. This is now part of the rotation.
Yeah, facts. So before we wrap things up, Chad, and shout out to everybody that's in here. You know what I mean? You guys are fucking awesome. I'm seeing some new faces, new names in here. I appreciate every single one of you. If you're new and you enjoying the conversation, we do this every week. And you can come back and hang out with us again. Just hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. It majorly helps these videos out, and I greatly appreciate you guys doing so. But I want to kind of we'll go back into speculation town. I got both mayors here, so fuck it, we might as well, right? So I kind of just want to get the way too early shot in the dark for this showcase. Like just one game that just out of nowhere, you're pie in the sky. I know it's way too early for that, but fuck it, right? So when we're gonna start with you, Steel. I'm curious, you know, you got any like left field pie in the sky Xbox showcase stuff? Just one game?
Wow. Pie in the sky.
Yeah, just
one game. If we're gonna go,
I mean, we
there,
expect. I got both mayors here. There's no. I mean, we good, bro. We good.
I'm just gonna go with Scalebound.
What?
Let's go, Steel.
We need Scalebound back. Let's go.
Off the top rope, Steel.
Platinum
Goddamn.
Games is making Scalebound. Let's go.
Let's go, Steel. I love it. That even shocked me, but that's great,
Steel,
man. Let's
come
go.
on, Steel. Wait a minute. We got to redo that, Steel. You got to run that back, my boy. Hold on.
What?
Scalebound
is it good? Is that a good answer? Okay, I got a better one.
Hideki Kamiya got a new studio.
He better not walk his bald
Xbox,
ass on the stage. He might get the George Bush shoe.
He's starting it up
He
again.
better not.
Let's go. Brand new studio announcement on top of it for Scalebound.
Okay. I got a better one. Okay, you ready for this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, Jesus. Now I'm scared.
It's gonna be Anthem 2.0. Let's go. Teamed up with EA.
That hurts, man. That hurts, man. You can't steal. Come on, bro. That's too close to the heart.
You're
God,
gonna have a whole segment full of dead games that come back.
They gotta live first. You gotta let them breathe for a little bit.
Hideki, who is the guy from
Yeah, that's what I said. Hideki Kamiya.
Oh, Hideki, Hideki, come on.
Yeah. He gets his own studio under Xbox. To bring it
No
back.
way, bro.
Let's go.
Oh, no way.
That's his way back
down.
into fame.
I'm down.
Yeah,
Let's
there you
go.
go.
Still, I shouldn't have opened with you. Still.
They name him as the community manager.
Oh,
Jesus.
Oh,
Jesus.
Oh my God! You guys
we're
are
only allowed to type in Japanese.
He's
to him
right.
now.
Exactly. Otherwise, he bans you.
Oh God! You guys are terrible. Still, you did not. You did not start this off.
You said
I did say that. I did say that. I did say it. You're right. Still,
I want those things. That's not a lie. I want.
You're
Scalebound.
lying. Still, you don't want those.
Yes,
games.
I do. I was extremely hype about Scalebound. A Devil
was
May
I.
Cry with dragons. What are you talking about?
Okay. I don't know.
Like, what do you mean? That shit would have been fire as hell. And he could the powers of the dragon and inform on them like it was Dante's Devil Trigger.
Oh
like,
my goodness.
Fuck.
Okay,
Bruh.
all right. I listen. I'm gonna take your word for it. Still, no, in fact,
That's
no.
crazy.
So those would be your pie in the sky for real.
Hey man, yeah. That's
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
All right, we good. All right, Mav, where you at, man? I don't know. You can follow that up. Good luck, brother.
I don't know what to say right now.
See, Steel.
You should have ended with Steel.
I should have, right, man. Still just got like 5 more people to boot up Anthem by saying that.
I'm just saying, hey.
I'm trying to think of something that's actually in the realm of possibility now.
What? I made a completely reasonable take.
These are reasonable, so reasonable. I'm thinking. Okay, so one game, right?
Yeah, just one. Chat, you guys can participate too. Chat, one game, Pie in the Sky. Go ahead, man. Sorry.
ZeniMax Online's game, and it's going to be Star Wars.
Oh God! Now you're speaking.
Not Mandalorian, just Star Wars, right?
Just Star Wars.
Just Star Wars. Okay.
If I could pick a subgenre within Star Wars or something, I would say Mandalorian. Yeah,
Fuck
let's
the
go with that.
Mandalorian.
Oh, I knew that was coming.
Let me make this clear. Not the Mandalorian show.
A Mandalore.
Mandalore.
I don't care. Fuck the Mandalore too. If you're not giving me the options to be Sith or Jedi, get the hell out of here.
No, damn it,
But you get to
Tom.
be a bounty
Let me
hunter.
break
That's what
this-
you like.
Let me break this game down for you, okay?
All right.
This is ZeniMax Online game. It's going to be an online MMO thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be able to choose Jedi or Mandalorian, and you will be able to choose dark side or light side. You'll be able to be like play whichever you want. Remember, like the lore of Mandalore is the fight between them, and like I feel like it would be amazing setting to have in that time period.
Okay.
I want it. I don't care what you want, Pong.
I know you do.
I know you're jaded. I know you're a jaded old man.
I am a jaded Star Wars fan. You are absolutely correct.
What Disney has done to Star Wars is
Yeah, so we're gonna ignore all the great parts about Star Wars and give us just Mandalore and Jedi. Okay,
no, there's lots of things in Star Wars that you can do within that setting.
You just said it. You're trying to convince a Star Wars fan. Stop doing this.
He said such a narrow-minded old man syndrome about. He's like, guess what, Pong? You're going to be forced to pick a fucking sidekick at the beginning. It's going to be a little.
I would not doubt it nowadays.
With you.
I would not doubt that that's mandated by Disney, and that will actually happen.
Yeah.
Cute little robot or
Come on now, Pong. BB, come on now.
Yes, it's a requirement. And then you're going to level it up separately, and it's going to be this little loot goblin that goes and gets your loot and brings it back to you. And carry it, send it off, Then you get to pet it, and it says cute little things that you don't really understand, It's going to be amazing.
Pong, I love that.
No, Pong will have it like, go get the mines. Go get the grenades.
Yeah, I'll send them off into the fucking battle.
What if you
I'll catch up.
All right. What if you could be a Jedi? You could be a bounty hunter, like a Mandalore.
Can I be a Sith?
Or yes, I said earlier. You
he did say that. You could be darker. Yeah.
And you could.
Yeah,
also
you just
be
said dark side or light side. That's all you said.
That's Star Wars. If you're on the dark side, you're a Sith.
So if you're saying that you want a full MMO, which allows you to be pretty much anything you want to be, bounty hunters, Mandalore, Sith, Jedi, it don't matter. Then I'm cool with that. That's fine.
Yeah, and it would just take place. The setting for the planet would be Mandalore during that time period.
Not just that planet though.
What do you want, man?
No, I'm trying to tell. Look, listen. You're beating your head against the wall, man. I'm trying to tell you.
Your birthday was yesterday. Okay.
But today is May the 4th. I'm trying to have positive Star Wars conversation, and you're like,
commercialization of Star Wars is complete. Let's go.
All right, well let's let Pong go. I'm curious, Pong. What you got, Pong? What you got, Pie in the Sky, Pong? Where we going with this?
Well, I'm not going crazy. I will try to keep it realistic. You guys know most of my stuff, right? Obviously, Splinter Cell and all that kind of stuff. Stuff we know. StarCraft reboot.
Oh, we need something different. Left field.
Yeah, left field. Left field that. Well, I'm going to stick with Bethesda then.
Okay.
That rumor that they had a team doing remakes of older titles is going on, and that they show off Oblivion remake here. Oblivion is right next to it's 1A, 1A, B, Skyrim and Oblivion, depending on the day. I want to see an Oblivion remake. Oblivion deserves to be updated for current with the Creation Engine 2.0. It would be it'd be a whole brand new experience. And Oblivion, again, if you like Skyrim, Oblivion for me is just depending on the day which one's better. So Oblivion would be mind blowing this day and age to bring back. I would love to see that actually become a reality here. I think it would be awesome.
Okay. I like that. I like that. Now, the one I'm picking obviously is never going to happen. We've already gotten confirmation. Well, never say never, but never, right? I mean, we've pretty much gotten confirmation. I know we don't talk about Halo much anymore. Some of us, but I would just love for them to revisit the idea of doing story DLC. Like revisiting that and say, you know what, we actually could do this. Like, we're in a little bit better place right now. We don't have as much management issues. We've kind of cleaned house. All that shit's out the way now. We don't have Bonnie and all these other people with their hands in the cookie jar. Now we've cleaned that out. Like, we can actually go back to that idea of like expanding on the main story with some DLC. So I think that would be cool. I mean, obviously, I don't think it'll happen. I don't even think they've even talked about it. But that would be such a great announcement to see, just like, hey, we're actually gonna do this shit. Like, we're for the first time ever in Halo's history. Because I mean, ODST doesn't count. That's a standalone game. Some people look at it almost like DLC, quote unquote, but they've never had any campaign DLC. So I just love it as a Halo fan. My heart of hearts, if they went back and revisited that Pong, or still and looked at that and said, we got something here. We could actually do this. I know we said we weren't going to, and we kind of canned that idea, but I think the company was in such a disarray at that point when they made that decision that I don't know if it's out of the possibility for them to go back now that things are a bit more settled from a management standpoint. And I know the game isn't everything everybody wants it to be, but it's far better shaped than it was when when we had the first conversation about like story DLC. So I think it probably won't happen ever, but I would love for them to revisit that. Love it. So, Fuzzy.
Yeah. All right. So I got one of three totally left field ideas. One is kind of in line with Steele's with Scalebound.
Let's go.
Oh my God, there's no way he just talked you into that.
No. There's one that I actually wanted more than Scalebound. That was a pitch to Xbox that it didn't land, and it was.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, the first one is going to be Dragonfly from Cliffy B. Like it was basically Scalebound, but more with the armor and like mech dragons as well and things like that. So if you haven't heard of it, just do a search on Twitter for Cliffy B and Dragonfly, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But it seemed like it was going to be a more gruesome, post-apocalyptical kind of dragons, real dragons and mech dragon kind of battle type of thing. So that would have been a pretty cool one for them to possibly green light. And he's been on and off social media, and I know the whole thing with the Gears where people are like, oh, they should have them, and other people are like, nah, keep them away kind of thing. That would be a nice project for them to kind of like green light, because I think it would have a fan base that would be interested in that. Another one is with a current in-house studio. It was an early Xbox One pitched game called Stormlands by Obsidian, 100-player game, mainly a fantasy type world. Dragons also involved in it as well, but it was geared so the 100 people could do like a PvE world space where you would have, I guess you could say like random events or like dynamic events or something like that, similar to like what you have in Destiny, where there's like a big boss that will drop and everybody can fight it at the same time. Well, you could do that with up to 100 players, and then afterwards you would get like your rewards, and you would see like small clips and pics of your triumphs in that battle, where if you were the last one to get the killing blow on the dragon, it would have like you would get your accolades for that and have like a little video clip and stuff like that to go along with it. It sounded like it would be a pretty interesting thing for Obsidian to try. I know they have one unannounced project that they're working on aside from Avowed and aside from Outer Worlds 2. So that would be a nice left field one as well. But the one that I probably want the most, and I know some people have talked about in the past and others have probably forgotten about possibly doing a sequel, would be Rise, Son of Rome. Like,
oh wow,
I still want to see a Rise 2 where you have some of like the god powers that you could use from like the multiplayer, have that incorporated in the story as well. And just flesh that out even more. The biggest complaint I think people have with like the quick time things, but I'm all for it because I like, instead of having the buttons appear on screen, they just had like the color outline. And as long as you remember what the color of the buttons are, it was pretty easy to get in tune with it and have it where, for those that don't like that, have it where they can turn that option off, whatever. But I think the big thing with that game would be to continue the series, make it so it's like after his death and he has god powers, almost like the way what was it, not 300 Gladiator to some extent, where it's like you pass on and then you can like possibly be reborn or whatever, however they want to spin the story kind of thing. I think that would be a cool returning title to the Xbox platform. CryEngine is still one of the, there's so many games that use it that still look great to this day that are, 5, 10, 15 years old.
It was a gold standard a long time ago, that engine for like PCs. If you had a rig, if you could run, was it Crysis? You could run anything, right? A long time
pretty
ago.
much.
Yeah.
But no, I think a Rise Son of Rome 2 would be a nice returning title and just have more enemy types. Like it's funny. People didn't complain about in God of War with the enemy types because I think there was only one more enemy type in that than there were in Rise Son of Rome. But you could see them in different colors. Oh, these goblins are blue and these are yellow. It's like that was the only real difference in some cases. But Rise Son of Rome 2, that's what I would like to see. That would be a left field showstopper for me.
Awesome. I love that too. That is a little bit left field too. I love to see Rise, and the game still holds up. Like you still go look at gameplay or even just boot it up if you have it, right? It's a beautiful game, man. They did a phenomenal job. But I remember that 900p campaign that was running around that time. It kind of unfortunately destroyed the game and didn't really give the love. So let me get to all of the quick super chats. I think I'm gonna start doing this at the end before we close, just to make sure, kind of in order, I get all of them.
Can we just shout out Sony for just throwing gasoline already over a burning fire that is?
I didn't even.
Too. Yeah, we got to shout out. I thought this would be a lesson learned. I thought maybe they would back down on this one and do the right thing. Instead, they have now pulled Helldivers 2 from all of those countries that were listed where you can't create a PSN account.
Huh. Yep. They pulled the pin. They pulled the pin on the grenade and threw the pin and kept the grenade.
Oh, they're gonna learn quick. The PC place is a different universe, bro.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Anyways, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Let me go ahead and go down the list on this. So we start out with the $5 super chat from Adidas Zero. He said, "Let's go. Appreciate you, Adidas, man. First guy here in the chat. I appreciate you, brother. And then obviously him being a member for 7 months. Thank you so much." He said he's here. And then we got Z Black Rider. Shout out to you for the $5 super chat, brother. He said this show will tell us if Xbox is playing. Appreciate you, Z Black. Thank you. We talked about that a little bit earlier, but we will see, brother. And then we got another $2 super chat from Adidas 20. Hit the like button. Yes, do that. If you're here not first time, do that. It does help the podcast tremendously. We got another $5 super chat here from Why So Serious. Shout out to you. He said, "What's up, guys? Just passing by. Appreciate you in chat, brother. Always seeing you in here. Appreciate the love and support." And last thing, he did join as the newest member of the Shop Podcast. So appreciate you as a YouTube member here on the channel. So thank you, man. You're gonna get some cool little perks for being a member. But thank you so much and appreciate you. But I think on that note, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up, man. It was a phenomenal show. Shout out to all you guys for coming out, man. This is always big for me, you know what I mean? Because after weeks that I miss, man, and I'm sure Pong and Fuzz feel the exact same way. It's a little awkward, you know what I mean? But because this is such a big part of what we do, and I appreciate you guys so much. But let me go ahead and go around the panel here. Just let everybody get their bars off and make sure you guys are in tune and tap in with them where they're at, where they're located. We're going to start with you, Mr. Steel Rain, the other half of living split screen, man. Appreciate you jumping in here today, bro. I love the energy. I love talking to you still. You already know that, brother. You always welcome here on the show, no matter what. Let everybody know where they can find you, bro.
Yeah, man. Y'all can find me starting a petition to get some of these old games back that I want. I'm not playing. I'm on it. Okay, I'll bring another one up. How about Lost Planet 3? We can do that.
Let's do it.
Okay, we can do that.
3.
We can Titanfall 3. There we go. Now we talking steel. Now we talking steel. Yeah, now we talking steel. There we go.
Nah, we'll go back to Scalebound. Anyway,
let's go.
Oh my, you trolling us, man.
I'm right next to you, Steel. Let's go. We'll raise the flag, bro. Let's do it.
We're gonna make a flag and get it started. But now you can find me Steel Raid I. The T is a 7 everywhere. Google's the easiest place to type that information in. Other than that, every Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern to 3 p.m. UK time, we host a non-console centric platform known as Living Split Screen, where we take the RTS approach, real-time strategy, pull yourself out of the world, look at the darker crevices of the map, pull those resources together so we can build up our own foundation and potentially reach those 3 billion gamers that Phil always talks about. Other than that, it was a fantastic episode to be a part of. Lots of awesome conversations. Again, in a world that seems to be filled with negativity, and especially in the space of everybody trying to poo-poo on Xbox, man, I just feel so great to be a fan of Xbox. Isn't that such a fun thing? Anyway, much love to you guys.
Appreciate you, Steel. You guys know where to find Steel, man. Living Split Screen, get you started right every single Saturday morning. You in for a long session, so get your coffee, go make you some breakfast. You're going to be there for a little bit, but you always going to get good information from him and Pong. So I appreciate you, Steel, for coming through. Like I said, brother, you always welcome, man. No matter what, you always welcome on the show. I greatly appreciate you being here, bro. Thank you so much. And we're going to throw this over to Mav, the general over there at FSP. Got a lot of things going over there, but you know, I love you too, Mav. You, my cousin. I appreciate you, brother. And once again, a shout out to the family, Caitlin as well. You know, you guys doing your thing over there, but let everybody know where they can find you, man.
Fun speculation. I'll be waiting for other dead games to come back, like Crimson Skies and let's see, Viva Pinata. How about
let's go?
That's a good one.
How about Nuts and Bolts 2? Let's go.
Pong is not in on that one.
No,
put that in the trash with your Mandalore game.
All right. How about Cameo 2? Let's go. Huh? Cameo?
Not bad. Honestly, while y'all playing, we really need Blink's the Time Sweeper too.
Yeah. Conquer. Let's bring back Conquer.
Really
Conquer can't be done nowadays.
I don't care.
Just put a mature badge on it.
That'll be the game that Hideki Kamiya makes. Let's go.
Ay.
All right. No, anyway, check me out. Fun speculation.
Appreciate you, man. You guys know where to find Mav, man. Always, once again, he's here a couple times a month, usually, man, just supporting the show, and always been a huge fan of what he got going on. So you guys do yourself a favor, go over there, check out FSP, multiple different shows, a few different times during the week. So please go follow him to keep up with all of that. And like I said, Mav, appreciate you, brother. Love you. Always welcome here as well. You always got a hall pass here at the Shop Podcast, brother. So. And throwing this over to my two brothers, the two awesome and amazing gentlemen, my real brothers in real life. We're going to start with you, Pong. Another great show, man. The battery of the show, as always, man. Let everybody know where they can find you, man.
Just want to remind everybody, Kamiya is responsible and had hands-on with Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, and Astral Chain.
He did.
So
I know we give him grief. He got a little crazy there. The ego got out of control.
Well, of course, that's fine. But I mean, the man is responsible for some amazing
He's talented.
Games. All right,
he's talented. Yeah.
Let's see, everybody. What a great show! It was great to be here with my brothers. Sorry, Game Pass Dad had to jump out there. Missed hearing his laugh and some of his takes, but great night. Big panel tonight. Chat. Thank you all for showing up and showing out tonight. As always, appreciate every single one of you. Nothing but love and respect to everybody here. It was a great way to end the Saturday night right here with some of my favorite people, including the chat. So thank you all for that. Otherwise, you know how to find me. It's Pong Soul on X, formerly known as Twitter, Pong Soul on the Xbox, Pong Soul on Steam, Pong Soul on Epic, Pong Soul on GOG, wherever. Find me. And then otherwise, listen, tomorrow, you get a little extra dose. So me and 3-Bit are going to be visiting a Palace, a royal place. I'm sure you guys already know. So take, obviously keep your eyes open for that. Most of you show up there anyways on Sundays. So I will see you all there. It's going to be a blast. Haven't been over there in a minute. And then obviously next week it starts all over again. Always shout out Double Barrel Gaming. Always shout out Mr. Boomstick, who does so much in the community 5 days a week. But Xbox Factor on Tuesdays, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. All good things green every Tuesday. Xbox Factor podcast. And then, of course, my week starts Thursday nights with this dude right here, Pong and Mav in the PM in the PM on the Fun Speculation Network every Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time. Be there for that. Xbox Ultimate the following night, back over on the Fun Speculation Network. That's right, where the family gets together. Lots of laughs, lots of good conversations, always on Fridays, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. Join us for that. And then, of course, Saturday mornings with this other dude right here, Mr. Steel Rain, for Living Split Screen. We had a regular show today. We had a 5-hour show today. Listen, we'll take you from the morning to the afternoon. We do it live, raw, and uncut. 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. Set those alarms. We are there, and we have great conversations. We get the chat involved. We had the chat involved a lot today. Again, it's the golden age, people. It really, really is. So much to play, so much to enjoy, so much to be happy about. I am happy to be a gamer at heart because no matter where the games are made, no matter where they're played, I will be playing something. And as long as I keep making the stuff that I like, I will be here in this hobby. I don't care who makes the plastic. So get out there, play what you love what you play, and I'll talk to you all real soon. Thanks, PTK.
Appreciate you, brother. You guys know what to do. Go follow Pong on X or Twitter, whatever. It's going to be the easiest place to keep up with him and everything he has going on throughout the week. And like you said, shout out to all the podcasts out there doing them. I don't probably do this enough, but there's a lot of great shows throughout the week. So you guys do your best if you're a fan of video games and you like the Shop Podcast. There's a lot of talented podcasts and people doing good things in the community. And obviously Boom is one of them, but there's a lot of other ones too. So shout out to everybody doing their thing out there with the podcast. But last but not least, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere, man, my OG, my brother in real life, man. I love this dude. For sure. But thank you for obviously, being on the show every single week, Fuzz. But let everybody know where they can find you, brother.
Oh man, just awesome being on here with you guys. Shout out to Game Pass Dad. Check his Twitch stream out, guys, later on or right after this and stuff. But always special being on here with Steel and Mav. Love hearing your guys' takes on things. And as always, love being on here with you, PTK and Pong. Love being, just in the conversation, discussing what we love. It's always a fun time. And thanks to everybody in the chat. Greatly appreciate you guys watching us both here on YouTube and those on Twitter. For those on Twitter, come over YouTube, hit that like button if you can, subscribe if you haven't already. Greatly appreciate it. But if you want to hear my rambles and rants on anything gaming related, just follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Fuzzy_Belvedere. 3-Bit might be pulling a double duty to tomorrow on Sunday after him and Pong make an appearance. But Pixelated Echoes, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. Just do a search on YouTube for Pixelated Echo. And then on Monday, Xbox Lunch Break Special at 12 noon on Double Barrel Gaming with Mr. Boomstick, Game Pass Dad, as well as Crispy Bomb, and sometimes Silent Cypher. So look forward to that show on Monday afternoon. And then later that evening, FSP on Fun Speculation, basically Fun Speculation Network at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here with Mav, with 3-Bit, Psycho, and Game Pass Dad on occasions. Definitely check us out and also get your fix for the games coming out that week. And then hope to see everybody right back here next Saturday, same time, same channel. Look forward to seeing you guys there. Thanks again.
Appreciate you, Fuzz, man. Thank you so much. Like I said, you're my brother. Love you to death, man. You guys know where to keep up with Fuzz at. You want to see what he has going on, follow him on Twitter. Easiest way for all of us, honestly, for you guys to get a hold of all of us. But we appreciate you guys. So last but not least, myself, the host of the Shop Podcast, man. You guys are amazing. And shout out to William Riggs, too. I got to make sure he just joined as a new member here on the channel as well, too. So appreciate the support, man. You guys never cease to amaze me, especially after we miss a week. You guys always come back, like double down on the support. So thank you so much for all of that. But you can follow me everywhere on Twitter as well, on Xbox Live. If you guys want to play some games, hit me up there as well, too. But yeah, we do this every week. So if you enjoyed it, you can get this all the time. So go ahead and come back next week and holler at us and we'll do it again. So appreciate you guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Please be safe. Love you guys. We're out of here, man. Peace out.
Peace.